Cool Figure TV. Revolutionary salute. Revolutionary salute. Like, share, subscribe. Welcome to the House of Revolution. You know I'm your humble host, the Yamin of Revolution. Family calls for federal review of the case. Justice for our little brother Nolan Wells. But before we get into that, y'all be sure to wipe y'all feet. That means hit the like button. You in the House of Revolution. Like, share, subscribe, support the platform, y'all. Let's get right into the information this morning. Salute.
That is why January becomes important, that we have a judiciary committee that can also monitor when investigation happens now or does not happen. So it won't end there. They may come out with any announcement they want in the next month or so. We having the big march August 28th in Washington we must deal with voting rights. So we have the right people in so we can check and balance. I want to say to people in Mississippi, whatever investigation you come with, once we have a fair and balanced government, your investigation will be investigated. It will not end with what they say in Mississippi.
Salute,
Attorney General of Black America, Benjamin Crow.
Thank you so much, Mentor. Reverend Allen, thank you for helping not only lead the effort to get to the truth, but keeping this family in your prayers as you have done so many more families giving them support. I'm Attorney Ben Crump, along with Attorney Eric Hertz, Attorney Lisa Park, Attorney Ahmad Smith. We have the honor of representing the family of Nolan Wells. Obviously, you all have come to know his parents, Christine and Elmore Wansley. And this is hard. I heard Congresswoman Macbeth, who lost her son Jordan almost 12 years ago. And it's still raw and emotional when you hear her talk about the loss of a child. I mean, he's not coming back. And that is the story. Everything else is just, hyperbole, is distractions. The story is what happened to Nolan Wells. Somebody knows something. Somebody saw something. I'm thankful to Reverend Al Sharpton and Mr. Tyler Perry and Terrell Owens and Byron Allen putting up these rewards. I understand others have now put up rewards, and that's good because that means we all have the same objective.
I got a reward.
We want the truth about what happened to Nolan Wells, and it is urgent. It is urgent because each day that goes by, you worry, will we ever get to the truth? And so that's why we want to thank CBC for calling on the federal authorities and anybody else who has resources to help this family get to the truth of what happened to their son. I know I was talking to Christian Clark, and she said, no, let's make sure that all taxpayers' money that goes to support federal resources apply to our children too. I mean, let's say that nobody should say, oh, it doesn't matter that much because it's a black child. No, it matters. All of our children matter. And so we are going to continue every day to say his name, Attorney Hertz, Attorney Park, Attorney Smith, trying to work with the local district attorney to give them what they need to do a thorough, fair, full, impartial investigation. That's what we're asking for. Everything else is just a distraction because Nolan birthday is next Wednesday, August 19th. it is going to be extremely difficult for his mother, his father, and his family. Because this August 19th will be like no other that they've ever had for the last 19 years. I mean, it's a milestone when your child gets to be 18 years old. You try to breathe a little easier, Reverend. Now you say, man, we almost got them there. They at the cusp of being an adult, cusp of manhood. And you heard how Elmore was working so hard, him and Nolan, his football career. I mean, he had a good start, but this was really going to be his year. I mean, so much hope, so much promise. And then July 4th came. And 4th of July will never be the same to Christine and Elmore. And on the 19th, next Wednesday, his family, we're all asking for prayer for Nolan. I know there's going to be a prayer visual in Ocean Springs. I know Reverend Al is going to work to make sure we're all praying all across the nation. But y'all, let's pray. Can we pray together in unity to say, let's get to the truth of what happened to Nolan Wells? Can we do that, America? Can we at least come together in unity on his birthday? Everybody who claimed to ever be a friend of his, can we come together in unity and pray for the truth and try to have love in our hearts for this family, for this brokenhearted mother and father, his sisters and brothers? Can we try to give them grace and give them love and pray for their humanity, for their son who was lost on 4th of July and is never coming back? Is that so much to ask? Let's have a national day of prayer on August 19th, next Wednesday, for Nolan Wells. And at this time, we'll hear from his mother and father, then Eric, and us will try to answer your questions.
Hello, everyone. Thank you all for having us, for platforming our son's story. As many of you know, his 19th birthday is next Wednesday. And it's, as the days gets closer, it's definitely getting harder. That realization is really sinking in, that we don't have our son physically here anymore. And I think a lot of people have forgotten. Only thing we want to know is what happened. That's all we want to know, is what happened to our son. Because many parents out there, you still have your children. You still can hug them. You still can call them. You still can celebrate their life with them. And we do not have that anymore. Our lives have forever changed. This new normal is something I would never wish on anyone, not even my worst enemy. The hurt that we feel daily, the conversations that we have to have, not just with each other, but also with our other children as they are grieving as well. So we ask that everyone, please, next Wednesday, join us in prayer. As for us as a family, but also too for everyone out there, but especially for Nolan and the process that we're going through. And again, we thank you so much.
Feature her as the blue soldier. Appreciate it.
First of all, I want to say thank you to everyone who's constantly keeping our son's story in the forefront. You don't know how much we really appreciate that. Nolan brought life to our family. He was the fun in it. And with his birthday coming up, like my wife said, we have to deal with a new normal. Who knows what these years are gonna bring, but we know that these years on August 19th is gonna bring a lot of hurt, some laughter as we think about memories, but as far as our family, a very big piece will no longer be there. We just want the truth. We just want to know what any other parent would want to know. We're asking the questions any parent would ask. And if you feel that something's wrong with that, then that's a problem that you have to deal with. But as far as us and our family, we're just asking for truth, transparency, and to please keep us in your prayers. Next week is going to be a hard week, and the years follow are going to be hard. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Christian and Elmore, it never gets easy, Reverend Al. And they're asking, I know Reverend Jamal Bryant is coming to Ocean Springs. Anybody who can come to Ocean Springs to be at the prayer vigil with them on a Wednesday evening at 7 p.m., please come. And if you can't come, please have prayer vigils in your city and your communities. We need to find out what happened. Attorney Hurts, Attorney Parks, and Reverend Allen, as we're trying to answer your questions. The family, obviously, the motion that they'll try to answer questions if they can. Any questions?
Hello, my name is Logan John with NBJ.
Yeah, give us where you're calling.
And we are so saddened that we are connecting with you under these circumstances. You know, I want to tell you, they asked me to call them Christine and Elmore. I want to say Mr. and Mrs. Wansley, but Christine and Elmore. I want to tell you in the audience in this room, but also watching at home, are thousands of Black journalists. But in addition to being Black journalists, these are mothers and fathers, siblings, cousins, aunts, and uncles of Black children. And we see your humanity. And we're gonna center that in this conversation. There you go.
Yeah.
I told Christine if we cry on this stage, it's okay, because we're among family.
Amen.
So you take your time. Christine, I'm gonna start with you. On Friday, July 3rd, Nolan made you dinner. And so as you're telling us about the last time you saw your baby boy, I want you to talk to us about who Nolan was and tell us about that day.
So Nolan is and was an incredible, just incredible soul. He was the person who, no matter where you were in life, what was going on, he was going to be your biggest cheerleader. And I can attest to that because after COVID, my sister was like, oh, you should do social media. And I'm like, oh, I don't want to do social media. I like to just watch others. And then Nolan was like, no, Mom, you should do it. I'll help you with the videos. I got you. And, just anytime I was like, oh, I just really don't want to do this anymore, Nolan was like, no, Mama, you haven't posted today. And I'm like, I don't want to post. I'm tired.
Yeah.
But, that's the kind of person he was. He was God-fearing, God-loving. That boy had faith beyond measure. He was just a bright light. And he was our bright light. As far as that day goes, went to work and he was making salmon. So he was FaceTiming me as I'm trying to see patients kind of in between, of course, not answering the phone in the room. And he's like, hey, Mama, how does this look? Is this enough season? Like, what am I supposed to do with this? And I was like, okay. I was like, you don't have to do that. And he's like, no, I'm going to take care of it. I was like, okay, sure. And so he finishes cooking, get home. He's like, yeah, what you know about this? And he was, guys, when I tell you, he loved to joke. Like, he was just one of those people. He wanted everyone around him to smile, be happy, feel comfortable and accepted. And that is the kind of person God made him. Us as parents, we definitely had that influence, but Nolan was just naturally a peacemaker.
Yeah.
And so yeah, after that, it was, 8, and then he got ready to go. He did his normal, hugged us up. I love you, Mom. I was like, be safe, knowing this was going to be his last weekend before going back to school, because football was starting, the summer training was starting. And this was his second year at Southwest. And so we knew this was going to be a big year for him. Dad and him had been training and doing all these things and really just kind of sitting with him and letting him know, like, hey, we're going to the next stage in your life as well as, your football career. So the focus was there and he was ready.
So he leaves that day.
He leaves that day with, he drives his car.
Mm-hmm.
And he told us kind of a general, like, hey, we're going to go to the island. Like, we knew that, staying at Jack's house. And Jack's was a friend I think we've met in passing before. And that's the thing, I always say there's a difference in meeting someone, knowing of someone, and then knowing someone. Knowing implies that we've sat down, we've had discussions about your hopes, your dreams, knowing you, okay, hey, he stayed the night at my house, which Wyatt, one of his friends, he had stayed at our house a couple of times. And then Jack's, again, that was one I just maybe saw in passing a few times. There was only a handful of young men that we actually knew, like, he grew up with. And when I say grew up, I'm saying from like first grade, they've known each other all through high school now that they're graduated. And that would be like Jalen and Javon, LeBaron. Those are kids that we knew. So it's just, it's been hard seeing all this kind of play out.
Yeah.
And, these are people that he considered friends.
Yes. Dad, I want to ask you, because it was Warren Hudson, one of the people that he traveled with, who called to alert you all that Nolan was missing.
Yes.
So we know at 5:44, the boat returns, Nolan is not there. At 11 p.m., he calls to say Nolan is missing. I wonder if either of you, whoever wants to answer, what happened in those few hours that prompted Warren to be concerned?
I'm not quite sure what would prompt him to be concerned, but all I can say is what I did that day. So me and my sister, we made an order of pancit, which is a Filipino noodle dish for one of our friends. They were having a big family get together, and we really didn't have anything planned for the 4th. So me and my sister are, cleaning up, and this is about 8. And she's like, hey, Nolan hasn't texted us. And that was the thing. Nolan was really big with communication with us, right? And so I call him, doesn't answer. I end the call. Call back, and this is probably, I think, maybe around 8. Don't quote me on the times, guys. So then I call again later around 8, still no answer. And then I want to say I called one more time, and I think that was at like 10:48. So I'm in the kitchen, my phone rings. Now this is probably like early.
Revolutionary salute to our family. Taylor's Dookie outside for the 10 jewels to the war chest. Revolution is a way of life. Absolutely appreciate that love. Taylor's Dookie outside. Salute.
11 o'clock, somewhere around there. Phone rings when I make it back to the phone, and I'm like, whose number is this? Because, we get weird phone calls sometimes. They didn't leave a message. Number pops back up. I pick up the phone because it says maybe Warren. And I'm like, Warren. So this is 11:07. That's
All right.
per my cell phone records. So I answered the phone and he's like, hey, Miss Christine, have you seen or talked to Nolan? I said, no. Why? He should be with you guys. And he said, oh, no, well, you know, when we went to the island, there was a girl named Katie that he met and he had decided to stay behind. I said, what? Because we know our child. And Nolan isn't one to be like, oh, well, I'm just going to throw caution to the wind and I'm going to stay here with this girl that I just met. So I'm on the phone with him. Now I'm in a panic. I'm running into my room. Elmore was in bed watching a different movie. And I'm like frantic. He's like, what's going on? I'm like, Nolan is missing. I'm trying to pull up the GPS as I'm talking to him. And at some point he tells me that, I was like, well, you know, his phone says GPS Life 360, not Snapchat.
Right.
Life 360 says that he's on land. And he was like, well, no, I mean, you know, well, we have his phone. And I'm like, wait, what? And I'm like, okay. Because at that point, you're telling me, this is coming from Warren, don't worry about it. We're going to find him. It's going to be okay. Don't tell me not to worry. This is my child, my flesh and blood that I brought into this world. And you're telling me not to worry. Absolutely not. So then it was after the phone call ended, of course, asking him for information. What was he wearing? He was like, last seen, Northwest tip, black shorts, sunglasses. That's important. So I end up calling DMR, spoke with the DMR. She took all
Just for our audience, DMR.
So DMR is because he went missing on the island. They are basically the marine people, right? They're the ones who's going to launch the boats to go into the water and all that. But before getting off the phone with Warren, he was like, hey, I know some people at Coast Guard. I said, okay. He's like, I'm gonna call Coast Guard, you call DMR. Get on the phone with DMR. I give the young lady the information and she tells me, hey, you know, I got this. Let me call you back. Cause she was like, I'm not sure if this is gonna be in our jurisdiction, essentially. So then she calls back and she tells me, okay, yeah, you know, we spoke with Coast Guard. And I'm like, okay, but they're like, this isn't our jurisdiction. You have to contact the city of Ocean Springs. I said, okay, hang up the phone, call an Ocean Springs Police Department. They say, hey, you have to physically come down and give a report. I said, okay. So on our way, because we don't live that far from the police station, on our way there, I was like, well, let me stop by the hospital because there's a hospital that's maybe 5 minutes up the road from our house. Stop by there. I'm like, hey, have you guys seen this kid? Has he been brought in? The lady's like, no, ma'am, you know, we hadn't. I said, okay, thank you. Run out. We go to the police department, get to the police station. And the officer basically says, again, this is out of our jurisdiction. And at that point, I'm like, my God, who am I supposed to talk to? Who is supposed to help me with this? So then he said, it's going to be, you would have to call DMR. I was like, we've already called DMR. DMR said it's not in their jurisdiction. So we end up, I think at some point I had called Jackson County Sheriff's Office. Yeah. So she calls back and she's like, hey, are you there? I said, yes, we're here, but he's telling us the same thing you guys told us, which is no, we can't take it. She gets on the phone with the police officer. Now this is Jackson County Sheriff's Department speaking with the Ocean Springs Police Department. Ocean Springs Police Department is saying, this is why we can't take this information. She says, okay. He gives me the phone back and she's like, okay, I'm just going to take it. I'm just going to take the information. And that was, we met an officer. It was after midnight. Right. Yeah, it was somewhere after midnight. Met him in the McDonald's parking lot, gave him the information. He was just like, okay, thanks. That I was like, like, where is the urgency? Mm-hmm. And so as far as we know, there were no boats on the water that night. We actually, his high school football coach, Coach Bramlett, texted Elmore that morning. He said, hey man, I got a boat. Because again, we don't have boats. Let me make that very clear. We do not have a boat. We're not boating people. We don't do water like that, okay? So Coach Bramlett's like, hey, I got a boat. So we was like, great, let's go. We're on the water. We go out there. We walk the island. Cell phone works perfectly fine. I actually had almost an entire conversation with my grandmother, who was in a panic, as we're walking this island looking for anything.
I just want to pause there. The cell phone worked fine because in the reporting, there's been so much reporting that there's poor cell phone reception. And this is some of the disputes that we have about that night. Dad, feel free to jump in here because they're saying he met this young lady, Katie, and that he stayed back. According to the reporting, Katie is saying no. He said he was going to go with his friends. According to the reporting, the friends say, no, he left us his phone because there was no reception. Dad, have you found any consistencies? Have you spoken directly with any of his friends?
Well, the first inconsistency was you called me and tell me my son stayed on the island to talk to a girl. My son would never do that. That's not in his character. I didn't raise none of my kids to do that. The second thing is you say he doesn't have his phone. He doesn't leave his phone. I would wake up sometimes in the morning and Nolan would have his phone here right in my face. And I'm waking up cussing the fussing like, boy, you don't get the camera on my face. And he just laughing and giggling and stuff like that. So it's twice. To me, there's two lies that he told me as a father. Like I said, we went on the island. And actually a classmate of mine called me that morning as we were going out to the island with Nolan's coach. He's like 40 miles away. He calls and, hey man, I got the boat. Me and my boys, we're gonna go out there and help you look. I didn't call him, he called me. And we're gonna start on this end. I said, well, we're probably gonna start on the other end. So me, my wife, Coach Bramlett, and a high school classmate of mine were the only, we were the first ones out there looking. Like I said, we docked the boat, got out the boat, walked on the island. She had a whole conversation with her grandmother on the island, got back on the boat, went back around the island. I guess that would be the north side, facing the Gulf of Mexico. I get another phone call. So my phone worked fine. So this whole thing about not having phone service, I don't know. I don't know if it's the carrier or what, but ours worked fine. I think those around maybe 8 o'clock.
Yeah, because we finished up around.
Who was it? Jackson County or
Jackson County Sheriff.
Finally showed up.
Yeah.
A couple of boats, they finally showed up. By that time, I was like, he's not out here. I was more focused that he was at someone's house.
That was
that's where my hopes and feelings were. So we left. The county stayed out there. My friend, he stayed out there because he called. He was like, well, we're gonna stay out here a little bit longer. I said, okay, I appreciate it. So we leave. Then I would say maybe a couple hours later, my friend calls me back and he said, well, we're gonna give it and go. But he said, look, I can gas the boat back up. And if you wanna go back out there, we can go back out there. I said, I don't wanna go back out to the island. I have a feeling that he's not there. And I don't wanna go back to the island. So he said, he said, well, if you do, we can go right now. I said, don't worry about it. I appreciate you coming out there. But he said at that time that helicopters were out there, more Coast Guard, more people out there. So we get back on land. And as far as the keys, what was that night? Or was it?
That was that night.
That was the night the call. Okay, let me back up. As far as getting the car back, after we gave our report to Jackson County, the sheriff department that night, we were trying to figure out who to get a report to. We had a friend in the family that located his phone. We wasn't there to get the phone, but apparently there was some kind of friction with getting his phone.
Yeah.
We don't know what the friction was.
So the phone and the key were at the same location, which was Jack's house.
Okay.
And again, all of these kids share their locations on Snapchat. And so she was like, hey, I can go pick his phone up, not thinking that his car is there, you know, which she stopped everything she was doing. Her and the boys, they went out. Like, we were all out searching for him that night. And yeah, like Elmore was saying, there was an issue, some type of friction. The cops ended up coming and they left. And so then kind of the same thing when we came to pick up the key, Elmore went up there asking for the key, didn't know where the key was. And all of a sudden we know where the key is.
But see, hold on. But see, this, and this is another thing that bothered me too. When we got to the house, you know, it was some of his other friends were there, you know, and they were, you know, beating on the door like, what Nolan there, what Nolan there, you know, beating on the door trying to get in the house. So I walk up to the door and I'm calming them down. Because for one, okay, you're loud. Two, you're in these people's house. So if you tear these people's house up, that's gonna be a whole nother issue. I don't want y'all bothering it. And three, I need you guys to calm down, and I need them to kind of trust me as being an adult so I can get something out of it. So I get them out the house, and then Jax finally comes down the stairs, I guess in the room, hair all messed up like he just woke up, whatever. I said, look, I'm Nolan's father. His car's outside. I need to get his car and all his personal effects that may be left over here. And he goes, oh man, Nolan was like my brother. I said, Nolan was like my brother. I said, well, if Nolan was like your brother, would you please go and get everything of his so I can get his car, I can go home. So he walks off. 2 or 3 minutes later, he come back. I don't see the keys. Okay. So I leave out the house, go back outside, stand by the car. During that time, one of the guys that was in the house, one of the other friends, he was on the phone with a girl who was apparently there with them earlier that day. And she was telling him that his keys was on top of the Xbox in his room. So he goes back up to the door by himself, and we're still out by the car. And lo and behold, here comes the keys. So now to me, you lied to me 3 times. I don't believe nothing that you tell me on out.
And this is Jax.
This is Jax.
And eventually he does give you the keys.
Yeah, eventually give
But
me
there
the
was
keys.
friction getting the keys.
Yes. So for one, you tell me my son is on left still on the island with a girl. 2, you have his phone. And 3, you don't give me the keys when I ask. I don't know any father who would believe just if one of my friends did that. I'm gonna be cordial with you, but I'm gonna watch you. This is Jax.
And eventually he does give you the keys.
Yeah, eventually give
But
me
there
the
was
keys.
friction getting the keys.
Yes. So for one, you tell me my son is on left still on the island with a girl. 2, you have his phone. And 3, you don't give me the keys when I ask. I don't know any father who would believe just if one of my friends did that. I'm gonna be cordial with you, but I'm gonna watch you. And
Ben, I want to ask you, because I'm hearing these 2 parents who essentially had to become search and rescue or law enforcement, looking for their own child with such a lack of urgency on behalf of law enforcement. Obviously, we're talking to Black journalists. We can't ignore the ugly racial history of Mississippi. I looked into the demographics of the Jackson County Sheriff Department. It's quite asymmetrical, but also just the general attitude and the lack of value when it comes to Black life. Does this sound like a normal process for when an 18-year-old goes missing to you? What holes have you seen in your looking into this case?
Tiffany, that was the question that Christine and Elmore had when they first called us. They wanted the truth of what happened to their 18-year-old son, Nolan Wells. And they had concerns whether they were going to get a fair and impartial investigation. And from that day to this one, it has been the same objective: to have truth, transparency, and find out what happened to Nolan. They said, we want
a thorough investigation because when they found Nolan, they expressed to me that the sheriff had already said no foul play. And they was like, no, my son, he knows how to swim. Our son is a college athlete. Our son is in great shape. We don't believe that he just drowned and nobody knows nothing. Nobody saw nothing. I mean, there are about 300, 400 people on the island. And so that's what they were saying. We want to know what happened. We want truth. We want transparency. We don't want his death to be swept under the rug.
Well, just so to make sure the audience and the people watching at home know, so they did declare very quickly, as you're noting, that he drowned when his body was recovered on July 6th. Mom and dad and you all know that he is a student athlete, able to swim. On July 4th on Horn Island, it was very crowded. Certainly the suggestion is someone would have seen a child in distress. There is going to be the convening of a grand jury. Now, the DA of this area, Angel Myers McElrath, is a very out loud proud Republican. If there is a U.S. attorney appointed to this case, it will likely be a Trump appointee. I'm just curious, Ben, from you and Rev, I think we have to be very candid here. What concerns do you have about the racial animus that we are seeing so much of play in this case?
Well,
you or Rev, whoever.
All I'll say, and then defer to Rev, you want to believe that this is a child, that everybody is going to do their level best to find out what happened so these brokenhearted parents will know what happened to their child. In time, we've seen Christine and the family be attacked just for asking questions. What happened to my child? Trying to say, no, we want to question this part of the investigation, that part of the investigation, because day one you said no foul play. But tell me now, what are you doing to be able to get us to the truth? And that is, it causes them sleepless nights. We talk at night. And so trust, but verify. We are trying to cooperate everything we can do to say, hey, we want to help, but we want you to give them a thorough investigation. We want you to do for him what you would do for your child.
Rev, I'm going to ask you, because I'm hearing these two parents who essentially had to become search and rescue or law enforcement, looking for their own child with such a lack of urgency on behalf of law enforcement. Obviously, we're talking to Black journalists. We can't ignore the ugly racial history of Mississippi. I looked into the demographics of the Jackson County Sheriff Department. It's quite asymmetrical, but also just the general attitude and the lack of value when it comes to Black life. Does this sound like a normal process for when an 18-year-old goes missing to you? What holes have you seen in your looking into this case?
Tiffany, that was the question that Christine and Elmore had when they first called us. They wanted the truth of what happened to their 18-year-old son, Nolan Wells. And they had concerns whether they were going to get a fair and impartial investigation. And from that day to this one, it has been the same objective, to have truth, transparency, and find out what happened to Nolan. They said, we want a thorough investigation, because when they found Nolan, they expressed to me that the sheriff had already said no foul play. And they was like, no, my son, he knows how to swim. Our son is a college athlete. Our son is in great shape. We don't believe that he just drowned and nobody knows nothing. Nobody saw nothing. I mean, there are about 300, 400 people on the island. And so that's what they were saying. We want to know what happened. We want truth. We want transparency. We don't want his death to be swept under the rug.
Well, just so to make sure the audience and the people watching at home know, so they did declare very quickly, as you're noting, that he drowned when his body was recovered on July 6th. Mom and dad and you all know that he is a student athlete, able to swim. On July 4th on Horn Island, it was very crowded. Certainly the suggestion is someone would have seen a child in distress. There is going to be the convening of a grand jury. Now, the DA of this area, Angel Myers McElrath, is a very out loud, proud Republican. If there is a U.S. attorney appointed to this case, it will likely be a Trump appointee. I'm just curious, Ben, from you and Rev, I think we have to be very candid here. What concerns do you have about the racial animus that we are seeing so much of play in this case?
Well,
You or Rev, whoever.
all I'll say, and then defer to Rev, you want to believe that this is a child, that everybody is going to do their level best to find out what happened, so these brokenhearted parents will know what happened to their child. In time, we've seen Christine and the family be attacked just for asking questions. What happened to my child? Trying to say, no, we want to question this part of the investigation, that part of the investigation, because day one you said no foul play, but tell me now, what are you doing to be able to get us to the truth? And that is, it causes them sleepless nights. We talk at night. And so trust, but verify. We are trying to cooperate everything we can do to say, hey, we want to help, but we want you to give them a thorough investigation. We want you to do for him what you would do for your child.
Rev, I'm going to come to you in a sec, but you brought up something, Ben, about attacks. And certainly as journalists, we have a keen eye, and I have noticed that the narrative around this story has shifted to the threats that are going to the young men who was with Nolan. They've hired attorneys who previously represented Donald Trump in cases. They've gone on very MAGA-friendly podcasts, and I just want to make sure that we keep the main thing, the narrative to the victim, to the actual child who died. And I'm curious, Christine, if you can weigh in on what threats have you and your family experienced?
So there have been a big smear campaign, just not only professionally, but personally for me. And
they attacked your nursing license.
Yes. So it started out with 1-star reviews of people saying they saw me. My office verified that these were incorrect. And then it went so much as to someone contacted the Board of Nursing. And then that opened the investigation for the professional misconduct. There was no evidence presented for that claim. And the investigator I spoke with, he said, we have to do our due diligence. I said, I understand it. I respect it. He was like, I'm sorry it's coming at this time. I was like, no, I get it. Do what you have to do, because I know who I am. I know what kind of care I give to my patients. I know the relationship that we have. And I'm grateful that my patients, a lot of them are still trusting and loving in the care that they know they're going to get with me. And so these attacks are not going to, it's not going to break me. I have to find out. We have to find out what happened to Nolan. That is the only question we've ever asked. We've never blamed anyone. We've never tried to smear anyone. I know I heard something about the picture. That picture was sent to me because
this is a picture of him on the boat.
On the boat with people.
Yes.
And what it was is they were like, the person was like, Miss Christine, the information is incorrect. This is what he was wearing. because initially he was in black shorts, which again, that is the information I received from Warren verbally and via text. When she sent me that picture, I was like, oh, completely different color. These are like a blue-gray short. So we have to correct that. But I'm grateful. We are grateful to all of you. Thank you for keeping our son's story alive. And thank you so much, Tiffany, for having us.
I think that's part of our assignment here, our responsibility. So often in newsrooms, we have to defend and define Black life and defend and define our own humanity. And so it makes a difference. The same way in other newsrooms, when you see someone and you feel like they're familiar, that so happens as they resegregate newsrooms and lay off Black journalists en masse, that goes away. So the people in this room have a keen interest in this story because they see your humanity, and that's what we center in this conversation. Rev, put this in historical context for us, because as I look at Mississippi, I don't have to tell you of all people some of the immediate thoughts that surface for us here.
Well, when I got the call from Ben Crump and he had the parents connected and they told me the story, I'd not heard the story. I heard something about some in Mississippi. But when I heard the details, the thing that jarred me from a civil rights point of view, and I've been working, Ben has come National Action Network for 20-some years with a case, and then in from there on and on and on. And if it's not a civil rights position, we don't get involved. When they told me that law enforcement said there is no foul play, that's a prejudgment. And I said, wait a minute. They said, the parents repeated to me in front. I said, they said it was, this 2 days after it happened. And how do you investigate and there's no foul play and you don't even know what happened yet? So that's what perked my interest. So I said that, well, we'll be involved and we'll help to the best of our ability. Talked another day or two. I said, y'all come to New York, we'll have a national press conference. That's how we broke the story. The first national press conference they did at our headquarters, National Action Network. And then all of a sudden, it was all of this attack for getting involved. And they asked me to do the eulogy. I said, we'll take care of the funeral. Tyler Perry called me and said, no, I'll take care of it. So the thing that bothered me, one, it was prejudgment. Second, the parents of the guys that were with him started talking about they was gonna sue us for getting involved. And sue, I don't even know the kid's name. So you can't say I defame your son. I don't know your son's name. But I will say this on this stage, I want them to sue me first. And I'll tell you why. No, I'll tell you why. And National Action Network, you serve the papers, because I want to depose your son. If you sue, the plaintiffs are deposed. So rather than us depend on a Mississippi DA who's already had people saying it was no foul, let's go to civil court, any kind of court you want to go to, because you can't make this make sense. And direct to your point, Tiffany, as I said in the eulogy that I did, I don't know what happened. The parents never said they knew what happened. They never said it was racial. I don't know it was racist, but they don't know it wasn't racist. You don't know what happened. So why are you prejudging it unless something is there you don't want out? Second thing is, and I said this to Elmer and Kristen, I had hurt my knee. I had torn my meniscus. And when I tore it, I told Ben the truth. I did it working out one morning, but I told them I got it because I was on my knees praying too much. But anyway, when they took me to say they may have to do surgery, the first thing they said is, well, we got to get your medical history from your primary doctor. I said, okay. So I said in the eulogy that I don't know what happened, but I got your history in Mississippi. And the history tells me black boy go out with 3 white kids come back. There's a blurred story on what happened. Now y'all all hostile and all upset. Didn't have the keys, but then you had the keys. Some about this don't make sense given your history. And I'm going to stay on this until we find out what happened. It may be nothing, but we're not going to leave that up to chance with people that are distorted. We're going to stay on this case. And lastly, since they want to talk about lawsuits, one of the things tying your morning together, Tiffany, they may come back, as you suggested, playing right-wing politics with this, with the local prosecutor, maybe even with the federal people. But if we have a change in January and there is a Democratic House, I said that if Hakeem becomes the speaker, he needs to have the chair of judiciary subpoena them to the Judiciary Department, testify. No, that's what this vote means. We need to have a check and balance of government so that we got somewhere to go. We can't depend to go to Trump's Justice Department. So we need to really mobilize so people like these two parents can protect their children.
Yeah, absolutely.
And shout out to the brother who slow. All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we have a smoking gun. Or as the scripture says, all things hidden will be revealed and those things done in secret will be exposed on the mountaintop. Now, this is a still shot from the video that Officer Race Batum Ruckus put out trying to exonerate the white boys in the death of Nolan Wells. But if you look right here, you see that there is clearly a white hand on that brown body part, which appears in the video really quickly, and then it goes back down as if it was being pulled down. Now, I'm going to show you the video at full speed, but just let's take a look at some more of these angles. And shout out to the brother who slowed my video down from yesterday and pointed it out. There you clearly see two white fingers and a white hand holding down that brown body part, whether it's a arm, a leg, or something. And here is once again the wide view where it appears in the picture. I'm going to show you the video itself. And there you see it again. Now, that is unmistakably a white hand and a brown body part, which shows up in this video. Peace and blessings. Peace and blessings. All praises to the Most High. Let's take a look at this video. And this video was actually from Nancy Grace's show last night, in which it had the lawyers on trying to once again exonerate them, saying Nolan Wells was not on the boat. And actually, when this picture arises, you're going to hear that lawyer stutter because they know way more than what they think we know. But look at this video as well. Now you see, this is the video that they are showing, and I'm going to play it. But once again, I'm going to zoom in right here so you can see it. So we zoomed in, and now we're going to scroll all the way down. And once again, you can see that body part, a brown body part, maybe a foot, maybe an arm, maybe an elbow, but you can clearly see two white hands pulling it down. Now let's zoom back out and play the video.
Nolan being on the boat, of something happening to Nolan, I cannot state clearly.
Right there, you see it come up and go back down.
Of mention of Nolan being on the boat, of something happening to Nolan. I cannot state clearly.
Right there. I was able to stop it right there. You see that brown part come up?
Enough,
And then
Nolan was
show it
not
again.
on the boat when it departed around 4:30.
Right there. It did it again. So it's clearly something being pulled up and pulled down. And you see those guys looking down, and the other guy, somebody even mentioned it looks like he's holding a pistol right there in his right hand. It looks like he is holding a pistol. Somebody said it may be a flare gun.
Look, the video that you're showing.
See, he's stuttering.
Now, does anyone look like, and look, there's the boy.
Right there. See, look, it comes up right there. And see, this is where he's trying to talk over it, hoping we don't see it.
That's on the seat.
See, he starts stuttering. He starts stuttering. And once again, we're going to wind it back and zoom in. You see that right there? Right there. Right there. And once again, we're going to zoom right back in because I want people to see this clearly, that this is not AI. I'm not making it up. Now, you can't see it clear from this angle, but you can definitely see something is pulling up. And once again, what is that in his hand? Maybe that's a gun where they're threatening Nolan from getting up. Now, to me, this is unmistakable, undeniable, irrefutable proof that Nolan was on that boat. And sometimes even the words of the guilty will entrap themselves. Just take a listen at these, once again, white boys trying to explain themselves about the CTO call.
Why would we call CTO if we have a dead body on the boat? I mean, why? Why would we call the Coast Guard? You know, why would we do the things we did if we know we killed somebody?
Perfect. Why would we call the Coast Guard? You remember they said, well, no, don't send the Coast Guard. Why would we call CTO? Oh, the grandfather called and said, no, CTO is not needed. That's right. You just proved our point. You didn't call any of those. That was just a smoke screen. Now, once again, I want to play this other video from when I did it yesterday, because once again, the girl from the Make This Go Viral podcast, she spotted it, but evidently she did not zoom in as we just did, and we was able to see it.
I mean, he's on the phone. Wouldn't you think that you would have seen Nolan on the bottom of on the floor or something, or scrambling around, or everybody in a small space on the boat looking at him, or
and look how everybody is looking down.
Something. I mean, that
and freaking incredible. I find it funny that he's saying that people will be looking down. There's
right there. Now, once again, that this is in her video. Once again, let's zoom in on this video. Now, there you see it come up a lot. Whatever that is coming up.
Looking down.
And there you see it's being brought back down.
We look.
And you clearly can see a hand right there. You clearly see a hand right there. So, in my opinion, once again, this is irrefutable proof that they are lying. And share this video, hype it, whatever you got to do, because we all knew that something is wrong. And once again, I'll show you the pictures one more time. It's from a still shot of the video that I did yesterday. That is clearly a hand. That is clearly a hand. That is clearly a hand. So they have some explaining to do, which we already know they can't, because they're lying. That is why they didn't call the CTO. That is why y'all didn't call the Coast Guard. But y'all let me know what y'all think about this video in the comments. Y'all see the number 919-587-7782. Thank y'all for liking, watching, sharing, and subscribing to the channel. And as always, I pray you have peace and blessings. And as the scripture says, all things that are hidden shall be revealed.
We have some good news in the Nolan Wells case. Well, at least it's good for Nolan's mama. You guys, breaking news in the Nolan Wells case, and this really does change everything. And I believe the people that might be worried about it have only themselves to blame. And by themselves, I mean all the interviews, all the talk shows, and the narrative that they seem to be trying to control and pass. What am I talking about? You guys, Ben Crump has issued a groundbreaking statement. Again, this is different than all the statements because they have the power of the National Black Congressional Caucus, and they are calling on the federal government for an independent investigation. And it appears to me, at least in my opinion, the reason they're calling for this is because those attorneys for Nolan's supposed friends have been running amok. And by running amok, I have some examples. They have been all over talk show radio, conservative podcast, conservative radio, conservative, or how do you call that? Or, sorry guys, or as I like to call it, conservative YouTube going crazy. With this narrative of one, they suing the whole world. So everybody needs to shut up and sit down. And once they thought they had everybody shook by being sued for, I guess, giving their opinion, then they started going on telling stuff that there's no way they could have known, which leads me to believe that they are flaunting either one, they're lying, which if they are, I'm sure that's something with their bar license. Two, you're flaunting the fact that the investigation has been compromised because at this point, nobody knows what happened to Nolan. But we cannot take people's words that nothing nefarious happened until we get all the evidence. Do you know what I'm saying? In a disappearance, everybody around them is a suspect, even if it hurts the parents' feelings, even if it hurts the boyfriend's or the girlfriend's feelings. Until we find out what happened, everybody must be treated at arm's distance. And investigations, as a family has been told, are completely independent and top secret. Well, what are the other people doing? Why are they involved in the investigation? They said they didn't do anything. They said they're out of it. So why are you even involved in this investigation? Again, I have the actual podcast clip that I think this is the clip that broke this camel's back. But in the meantime, let's read Attorney Ben Crump's statement. I'm just going to make this a little bigger. Oops. I'm just going to make this a little bigger on the screen. Okay. This is from Ben Crump. Reverend Al Sharpton put his name in there because he was like, y'all gonna sue me? Let's go to deposition. I already know the way down to Mississippi, baby. I will meet you at the deposition. Anyway, it's Ben Crump, Reverend Al Sharpton, Congresswoman Lucy McBath, and the parents of Nolan Wells. They're holding a news conference as Congressional Black Caucus calls for a Department of Justice review. Baby, they said, y'all can play these Mississippi games someplace else. Because the funny thing is, I do honestly believe that everybody that is currently speaking out is acting like the decks already set. To me, they don't seem to be like at all they're worried about criminal charges. They seem to be getting into a defensive mode for a civil wrongful death suit due to the negligence of leaving Nolan behind or something or other. I think they're preparing, okay? This is taking it out of Mississippi courtrooms. This is taking it out of Jackson County, Mississippi. This is taking it out of the Ocean Springs courtroom, where not only do they control everything, and by control everything, I mean the local government controls everything, but the local government is very, very, very close, good friends. The mayor, like they're all close, good friends with some of the people that are coming out saying these things about they know exactly what's going on in a confidential private investigation. You guys, this is escalation on another level. All right, let's get into this. Also, I will be live streaming the press conference. So if you're watching this video, come back and join me around 11. Ben Crump usually starts his press conferences 15, 20 minutes after he says he's going to start. You know, they have to set up and stuff, but join me at 11. We'll be yapping. I'll show you some new evidence while we're waiting for Mr. Crump and everybody else to come talk. Anyway, right? Atlanta, Georgia, August 12th, 2026. Nationally renowned civil rights and personal injury attorney Ben Crump, that's right, will join the parents of 18-year-old Nolan Wells, Reverend Al Sharpton, founder and president of the National Action Network, and Congresswoman Lucy McBath. She's a Democratic Congresswoman of Georgia, at a news conference in Atlanta on Thursday. They will amplify the newly issued call from the Congressional Black Caucus for the U.S. Department of Justice to open an independent federal review of Nolan's disappearance and death. Now, again, they are making a call, but if you know anything about America, when the National Black Caucus for the U.S. Department of Justice makes a call that they need to open this up for an independent federal review, baby, I think it's going to happen. All right. They said in a letter to the U.S. Attorney General Todd Blanche and the F.B.I. Director Kash Patel. You know what? Let's not change. But remember when Kash Patel and that whole whether he was drinking or not thing? Anyway, Congressional Black Caucus Chair Yvette D. Clark, she is New York, right, District 9, and caucus members urge the U.S. Department to determine whether a separate federal investigation, including a possible civil rights investigation, is warranted. That's right. Ocean Springs, in my opinion, has been doing everything they can, and Mississippi have been doing everything they can to be like, no, like this is our investigation. Things will happen on our timetable. Even the fact that the local sheriff told a grieving mother, you don't run anything. We're not going to have this investigation on your timetable, when she's asking for simple answers like, hey, can I get an autopsy? Can I do this? They were all like, please, we run this. We'll do it how we want. Let's also not forget that a grand jury investigation could take a year. There's no time limit on grand jury investigations. All right. They could really run out the clock until all this dies down in the media. This takes away the control that they had. This takes away them owning all the information, doing it their pace. And also, if what these lawyers are saying are true, leaking information for a case that's supposed to be super confidential. Anyway, right? That's right. Let's repeat this. The Justice Department, they want them to determine whether a separate federal investigation, including a possible civil rights investigation, is warranted. The lawmakers wrote, the Nolan's family has waited more than a month for basic answers and should not be forced to grieve in an information vacuum, and gave the department 7 days to explain what action it has taken or intends to take. That's right. You got to put these mofos on a timeline. They said the F.B.A. is already assisting local investigators, which is a good point. You're already saying you're assisting local. Your finger should already be on what's going on. Let's also not forget that in the fact of a month, they have not been able to give Nolan family any answers, access to any autopsy, access to their independent autopsy is still waiting for them to give them access to their findings of the autopsy so they can close their autopsy out. They are waiting. And for what? Because Chris Cuomo got up there without showing any sources and said, oh, he already saw the autopsy. Nolan drowned and he was heavily intoxicated. Where's your sources? Where's this? Since you know so much, why don't you show us a portion of the autopsy you saw? Why don't you tell us what you read? Or was it just word of mouth? So people can come back and be like, who said that? We already know that the lawyers up there are bragging left and right that they know what's on Nolan's phone. They know what the police have, and they know that Nolan's family has not been cooperating with the police. Really? How would you know that? You're either lying, right? You're in talks with the police and you actually are telling the truth, in which case the police have compromised the investigation. Or 3, you're listening to somebody that is lying to you, but you're a lawyer, a practicing lawyer. You know with that whole thing that's shady. And one of them said they'll even bet their reputation on it. So here we are. Anyway, they said Congresswoman Macbeth, who represents Georgia and serves in the Congressional Black Caucus, will stand with Nolan's family in Atlanta. She entered public life after her 17-year-old son, Jordan Davis, was shot and killed in Jacksonville, Florida. Damn. It's a hell of an origin story, right? Nolan disappeared during the July 4th boat trip to Horn Island, Mississippi, and his body was found in the morning of July 6th. An independent autopsy commissioned by the family classified both the cause and manner of death as undetermined. Findings from the Mississippi State Medical Examiner's Office have not been publicly released. All right, so now we got the Congressional Black Caucus. We have calls for a civil rights investigation and an independent federal investigation. I do believe these calls will be answered. Hear me out. For the people that say, oh, it's racism, oh, it's a good old boy network. Yeah, but the thing is, usually those good old boy networks are very, very closely associated with the town, with the county. Do you know what I'm saying? Just like everybody speaking out about the case aren't from Ocean County. They're not from Ocean Springs. They're not from Jackson County. You know what I'm saying? So I do think this is a chance on a national level to be like, nah, y'all doing too much. You went too far. We got to see this. We will see what happens. Here is what I believe actually was the straw that broke the camel's back and why so many people are getting involved. Because listen to what these boys' attorneys are saying. They are not just saying they're innocent. They're saying that Nolan's family is the problem. They're saying Nolan's family isn't cooperating. They're saying that Nolan's family, and they have inside information directly from the police. Listen to this, right? This is a clip that just came out on the Dan Abrams show. You know, it is a conservative podcast, this, that, and the third, where they had callers in and they had callers asking questions to the boys' lawyers. Listen to what they had to say. Hold on.
Mo in Houston. Mo, how you doing? What do you got?
Hey, Dan, love the show. I appreciate you gentlemen for coming on as well.
Thank you.
A couple quick things. Was Nolan Wells, were there messages missing out of his phone? And the second thing is,
Absolutely
photos
not.
have come out. Yeah, they're saying that there were messages missing off of his phone. His phone was wiped. And another thing, there's pictures of, like with the modern day, with people with cell phones and social media. There's pictures with adults on that boat. There, in one of the adults, they're even saying it's like an affluent crowd, businessman. They were saying it's just kids, but they're adults there.
Right, but here's the thing they're saying.
These are the lawyers. Absolutely not. How would you know that? How would you know that? But he continues. Let's keep going.
I don't know who the they is, but go ahead. Tyler, you want to take this one? Or
yeah,
Ed?
I'd love to.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. I saw a headline a few weeks back that said Ben Crump and the family is going to allow the Jackson County Sheriff's Office access to Nolan's phone.
Listen.
You know what I never heard? I never heard him follow through with that. I have reason to believe, and I do believe, that they have not cooperated with law enforcement. I do not think that they have turned in Nolan's phone. And I'm willing to bet my reputation on that.
I do not believe, and I have reason to believe, that they have not cooperated with the police. How would you know that unless somebody from the police told you they haven't cooperated? Right? Not even that. You're so sure of it, you'll bet your reputation on it. Okay.
I don't think they've cooperated at all. They do not.
Not even that. They're not just not cooperating by turning the phone in. They're not cooperating. These are the attorney for the boys that say they're innocent. And apparently Nolan's family is on trial because now he's saying he's betting his reputation that they're not even cooperating with the police.
Not have Nolan's phone. They haven't had access to Nolan's phone. The Jackson County Sheriff's Department has it. So how can you say that there's text missing or there's photographs missing? Our boys had no reason to do anything with Nolan's phone other than give it back to Christine.
They had no reason. That's not answering. Why would you say that? They had no reason. You want us to find reasons? Also, then to give it back, they didn't even tell her she had it. They had to go and kick in the door and get it back. They weren't even going to tell them they had Nolan's possessions. Like, give me a break. And it's after you called his mom and said he was missing. Why didn't you actually tell the mom, hey, the reason I think is because he doesn't even have his phone on him. They didn't even tell. And they knew that was his phone because when they cleaned the boat, they made sure that they took the boat off and the phone, and they knew it was Nolan's phone. So why didn't you tell them? Why didn't you tell them that you had it? And that's why you think he's missing. But, let's keep going. Let's keep going.
And her friends later that night. So anything about missing text messages or Snapchats is completely false.
Okay.
Edward, go ahead.
I'll just add something. And again, this is why you have to be on the ground there or in the water. When I went to the island, when I was fortunate enough to have that opportunity on Friday, one of the things you notice right away is that there's no dock. There's not a boat launch. There's not a dock. When you get to the island, you drop anchor 50, 100 feet offshore, whatever the case may be, and you swim to shore. That right there is one reason why many folks don't bring their phone.
You dropped anchor. We see the kids standing in front of the boats and the water's only up here. And we see the actual pictures where the boats were almost too short. What are you talking about? You swim 50 to 150 feet. What are you talking about? Is this Castaway?
Onto the island. And that's also another reason why.
Here's the picture right here. You see how close these boats are to the island? What are you talking about? You see how the kids are in front of the boats and the water's only coming up to here? What are you talking? Again, they are saying things that we can show that can't be the matter. And these are the actual boats that are actually docked, the boats that are in question.
You may not have as many photos or content as you might expect. And I will also just say another thing. Quite frankly, people go out there to have a good day. They go out there to have a good time, to unplug, to unwind, to get away from the world. They're in the sand. They're in the surf. They're in the water. It's not a cell phone environment.
About the Nolan Wells family. Did you hear that?
Listen, it's not a cell phone environment. My whole point of the matter is, yeah, it looks like them running their mouth. I guess they thought Ben Crump was going to get into the mud, and no, baby, he's actually bringing in independent investigators, and we are looking into civil rights. I know this is not the climate for civil rights, but baby, when you are this sloppy, again, who did what to Nolan? Nobody knows, but it's beginning to look more and more and more like something actually happened to Nolan. Anyway, y'all, listen, join me at about 11 for the Ben Crump live stream. We're going to be listening. We're going to be yapping, and I have some more evidence to show you guys. This is going to be a heavy Nolan update day. All right, I'll talk to you later. Bye.
Willie D Live.
What's up, family? You're not going to believe this one, but TMZ actually made some sense in regards to the Nolan Wells case. Yeah, because TMZ, it seems to have drawn a line in the sand, and they've decided that they were going to be in 100% support of the dudes who call themselves Nolan Wells' friends. TMZ been going out of their way to single-handedly exonerate these dudes. Yeah, take after take after take. They seem to have decided that these are the people that we rocking with. We rocking with this side right here. We don't care nothing about Nolan Wells or his family and all of his supporters or whatever. This is the narrative. And TMZ seem to have been on code with some of these other publications and media outlets like ABC, NBC, all of them, all of those alphabet news outlets. And a lot of the press, it's like they're all on code. So it's not just a Mississippi thing. See, this is why Mississippi is so effective, because if it goes beyond, if corruption extends beyond Mississippi, the rest of the United States pick up the slack. Keep telling y'all, don't just be looking down here down south and thinking that, oh, it's bad out there, it's really bad out there, and this is like the only place that it goes down. Yeah, it might be more concentrated down here, but if you're in the United States and you're black, you're at risk. So anyway, fam, Harvey himself did not have a change of heart, but it seems like Charles Lati Baudière decided that, hey, man, Harvey might feel like this, but I feel like this.
Or on a PR, PR blitz to change public opinion, because they believe that they, in the court of public opinion, they're not doing so well, that they have been, sort of demeaned in some way, disparaged in some way.
I think it's weird. I think it's weird.
Yeah.
When Warren sat down with the guy, I know we don't like to say his name, sat down with him, I was like, okay, this one kid and his mom is a judge, and maybe he wants to sort of clear his name. But now every week, another friend sits down, and now they've got this lawyer, and they're sitting down and doing interviews. It's weird to me. And it's not just weird. People are going to say things on the internet. Why does that rise to the level of you need an attorney to now sit down and do interviews to publicize yourself, to try and change the court of public opinion? Why do you care about a court of public opinion? Because you didn't do anything. And ultimately, if you didn't do anything, and maybe they didn't, let's take them at the word, and their attorney, that they didn't have anything to do with Nolan's death. That's all going to come out when the results of the autopsy come out, when the investigation comes out. So why are you now getting? It's almost like I get like this attorney has probably convinced them, yes, do this and talk about this, and it'll change public opinion. But what it really does, it makes some people will look at it and go like, well, what are you getting out in front of? If you didn't do anything, there's nothing to get out in front of. So in some ways it can backfire on you. It's just weird to me. And then you also run the risk of what did happen is that one of these kids sits down and blasts Nolan's mom and says that she was wrong to put out that photo. And that's not going to play well in the public for you, man.
I ain't got no problem with that, Charles. All right, Charles. Speaking up, speaking out, on the right side of history. Okay. I think Charles might have a problem, though, when he get back to the office, because I'm sure that Harvey is not down with that. Harvey is MAGA. Yeah, man, he got to be. Now, remember, TMZ is now owned by Fox Corporation. You did? So that's MAGA all day. No matter what they say, that's MAGA. But before I go any further, salute to Don Lemon. Don has been doing his thing over the last few years. I've been watching, I was really critical of Don Lemon, about his Ferguson reporting. But lately, he's been on the game, he's been on his game, and he's been, really, really consistent, especially in this Nolan Wells case. So salute to Don Lemon for that, for his coverage. Journalism. You dig what I'm saying? Tatum, you understand that, boy? Yeah. But anyway, fam, moving on. Charles, TMZ, Harvey, TMZ. Harvey is the big guy at TMZ, but TMZ is owned by Fox, which means that Harvey got bosses. And so no matter what Harvey's so-called liberal perspective was prior to the sale of TMZ, or even now, he's not running the show anymore. He got to watch what he says. And I'm going to tell you something. I saw it play out in real time when they were really critical of Trump in his second administration, his second term. They were very critical of Trump. Trump gave them some major pushback, and it really amped up after Trump went after Jimmy Kimmel. When Trump went after Jimmy Kimmel, it's like TMZ flipped. And from that point on, it was like pro-Trump MAGA, swinging from Trump's disco balls. But back to Charles, he made some very strong points, the strongest being the fact that why would you go after the mother, who by all accounts, or most accounts, is endeared? She's beloved. People really like that woman, and they feel for her. They relate to her. They empathize with her. Not to say that they don't with the father, but she has been pretty much a spokesperson for the family, so she's been out there the most, which means that she's been attacked the most, right? Why would you, well, when she did that, that just messed everything up. He's just talking about that woman, and he's putting fuel on the fire. He knows that they have uncivilized mutts out there attacking the mother. By him saying that the mother made things worse for him and his buddies, he knows that the uncivilized mutts are going to go even harder. They're dog whistling. The thing is, if you love Nolan so much, why would you throw his mother under the bus? You can't. You cannot really, really love Nolan. And in one of the interviews, in the interview with Tatum, one of the dudes said something to the effect of, I wish Nolan was still here. Really? You could have done something about that, right? I think that you got more power, or you had more power, for Nolan to still be here. You dig what I'm saying? You had it. Bad idea. See, this is the result of narcissism at its best, or one might say worse. And we'll get to that. I got something for that tomorrow. But right now, right here, Charles, he's standing on business, at least for now. Let's see what his next report's going to look like. Let's see what the next interview is going to look like. Now, don't expect much, no matter who you are. I know some of y'all got your hopes up. Don't expect too much more from Charles, I'm telling you. Because Charles works for TMZ, which is ran by Harvey Levine. And Harvey is MAGA. And we know MAGA is going to MAGA. MAGA is going to stick together no matter what. Charles said it was weird. He said he thought that it was weird that they're going out here doing all of these interviews and they're trying to get ahead of this thing. If you're innocent, what is there to get ahead of? See, that's sometimes when you're too smart for your own good. You're smart, but you're just too smart for your own good, and you start hurting yourself, right? So that's what's happening right here. They're too smart for their own good, and they're hurting themselves. Now that they've gone down that rabbit hole, if they start trying to get silent now people are going to become even more suspicious. I think it was attorney Andrew Wilkerson who said on my show earlier today, I think it was him who said the best thing that you can do if you're accused of a crime is to be silent. It was either him or Elliot. One of them said that. I can't remember exactly who said it, but in any event, both would be right. You know, the best thing that you can do if you're accused of a crime is keep your mouth shut. But that's not an encouragement. I'm not trying to encourage him. Let me not say that. I already said it, but let me take it back. The best thing you can do if you're accused of a crime is talk. Talk, man, talk. Let the people know what's going on, man. Let the people know how you feel. You know, it's good therapy, man. Let it out. Let it out. You ain't did nothing. You know?
Lewinsky. Yesterday, during former Officer Tatum's groundbreaking interview, that was not groundbreaking at all, there was a new character reveal, and he goes by the name of Lawyer Edward Polinsky. Now, at first, nobody knew who Edward was because he came out cosplaying as a teenager in a hoodie and a baseball cap that said, "Call Cox." But Edward looked a little familiar to me, so I did a little bit of deep diving, and then it all came back to me. Do y'all remember Ashley Janae? And if you do remember Ashley Janae, then you remember this super creepy picture of Ashley and her fiance, Joe McCann. And if you don't remember those two names or those two pictures, I'm sure y'all remember this video of Ashley getting engaged before they found Ashley unresponsive in her hotel room, Tanzania. And when Ashley unfortunately lost her life April the 9th, 2026, and everybody and their mama thought Joe McCann had something to do with it, who did Joe hire? None other than Edward. When the white elite gets in trouble, they call on Little Eddie. Sorry, bro. You show up with a baseball cap and a hoodie like this trying to cosplay and fit in. Yo, we're just going to call you Little Eddie for the rest of this video, okay? For those of you who followed this channel daily during the Ashley Janae investigation, you know two things. One, I do not like Joe McCann, and I also do not like Eddie. And guess what? They don't like me either. They do not like the way that I covered the Ashley Janae investigation. And when I am done exposing Little Eddie, unfortunately, we are going to cover part 2 of former Officer Tatum's interview that he released yesterday. And make sure you stay tuned for that because I caught Officer Tatum in another lie. And I don't even want props for it because it's like so easy now. This is all he does is just lie and keep lying. There has been a ton of developments over the past 24 hours and a lot more lies. Sit back, relax. I'll tell you everything you need to know, and then I'll hand it off to you, the out louders. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Before we go into former Officer Tatum's part 2 of his interview with the boys and Little Eddie, I just want to give you guys a little bit of a background into Eddie and just want to let you guys know what he's been up to over the past 2 months. Like I told you in the beginning of this video, Eddie represented Joe McCann, and I do not like Joe. Joe does not like me, and Eddie does not like me either because I have been adamant about talking about both Eddie and Joe McCann on this channel for almost a straight month during the Ashley Janae case. that is not completely over. Let me just leave it at that for now. But let's just concentrate on little Eddie over here, okay? I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a refresher of the way that Eddie goes about his business. Now, here is one of little Eddie's claim to fame. During the Ashley Janae investigation, he caught a content creator making a mistake, brought her to court, if I'm not mistaken, or threatened, and she backed down from defamation. I'll read you a little bit here of what he wrote. Recently, Lisa made deeply hurtful and false accusations about my friend and client, Joe McCann. Sounds familiar? Same thing he talks about with the boys. Oh, these upstanding gentlemen, my friends of Ocean Spring. All his clients are his best friends. Lisa made hurtful and false statements about my friend Joe McCann, particularly about the relationship Joe shared with his beloved Ashley Robinson. That's her real name. Everybody knows her as Ashley Janae. And the circumstances surrounding Ashley's tragic passing. Below, you will find Lisa's apology and retraction regarding her false statements. I'd like to thank Lisa for righting this wrong and for her devotion to Joe's charitable foundation that he created in honoring Ashley's memory and preventing others from et cetera, et cetera. Okay, so that was the agreement. We're going to apologize and make a donation to Joe. He's just trying to set an example. Still not putting no fear into this channel and other content creators, all right? You caught one. So you can hang your hat on that if you would like. And I would also just like to show that little Eddie's MO is the same. White elites in trouble? No problem. I'm coming to rescue you. And the first call that he makes is TMZ. Now, you know that we have exposed TMZ for all of their biases umpteen amount of times, but here we are just showing you once again that little Eddie's first call is to TMZ. You'll see here, Joe McCann's lawyer, little Eddie, tells TMZ authorities in Tanzania returned Joe's American passport to him yesterday, blah, 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 blah. Little Eddie clarifies that not only blah, 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 even further, Edward says authorities are blah, blah, blah. My point is that you see how he's always just going to right to TMZ and feeding TMZ every single thing that he wants. Every narrative that little Eddie wants to put out to protect his white elite clients, that is what he will do. That is his job. Donald Trump has appointed him the savior for the white elite in America. And now he is on former Officer Tatum, because y'all know that that's the other Avenger that is out here to save white elite America. Officer Tatum and former Officer Tatum and little Eddie are the same pawns in the right ultra MAGA movement. That is who these boys went to hire to try to have us feel sorry for them. That this is who they hire so that we could say, oh yeah, you didn't do anything to Nolan, or you guys weren't involved, or you don't know anything. This is who you're hiring to try to convince us to feel sorry for you? Little Eddie, the guy who calls TMZ and that capes for Joe McCann? Joe McCann? Here's just another quick example. Joe's lawyer, little Eddie, tells TMZ, Ashley's mother, etc. It's always little Eddie talking and talking to TMZ to try to change the narrative. That's what he does. He's not only here for defamation lawsuits. There's some great defamation lawyers. Trust me, I have one of them. This is why I'm not afraid of little Eddie, okay? And my point is that he's not just a defamation lawyer. He's there to come out and try to change the narrative. And that's why his homies, Harvey, TMZ, and Charles are right there in his back pocket. So don't get fooled with the defamation talk. We know what little Eddie is there for. And I showed you guys this yesterday, but just to show you again, here from CNN, photo provided by CNN, attorney little Eddie out on Horn Island with his friend, his best friend, his new bestie, Warren. Okay, so you see here's the connection. Eddie, Warren, the savior of MAGA. Now that you know little Eddie's background, let's move on to Officer Tatum's part 2 of this groundbreaking interview that actually told us absolutely nothing. And I just had to put this picture up again. Like, little Eddie, like, why are you cosplaying? Why are you trying to fit in and look like Warren? Like, yeah, it's my homie. Because they're your friends, right? So we got to like cosplay. Like, This is ridiculous. Yesterday, former Officer Tatum dropped part 2 of his second interview. We're going to cover it very, very quickly. Nothing much happened. Trust me. I'll play 2 or 3 clips for you, okay? One clip that I'm not even going to bother play, I think it's Jax or maybe Morgan answers this, where Officer Tatum says, what do you guys think about the CETO call? And one of them say, if we were doing anything wrong, or if we did anything wrong, then why would we even call CETO? Well, because you're maybe creating an alibi. It's like a really easy answer. And by the way, the whole interview is, if we did something wrong, why would we do this? The minute somebody says that to you, you automatically could assume that they're probably lying, because that means that you've done all of those things, right? So that you could sit down and say, well, why would we do this? Why would we do this? Why would I do that? Like, we already can see that maybe Warren's grandfather was helping you. Somebody called in. We know that there's suspect things that have happened. So the fact that you are using this as your alibi is obvious to me, and I'm sure to a lot of you as well. Okay, we're going to go on to another obvious point. You're going to hear one of them say, well, if we did something wrong, then why aren't we in jail yet? Like I said, this whole interview is malarkey. Why would we call CETO? Why aren't we in jail yet? Well, you're probably not in jail yet, because this investigation is done by the authorities in Mississippi that everybody is questioning. So that's why.
Why aren't we in jail yet? I mean, we're not geniuses. I mean, there's no way we could have covered it up, especially out there with that many people.
Maybe you're not in jail yet because the authorities, the minute they found Nolan's body, was like, we see no evidence of foul play. Maybe that's why you're not in jail yet. But listen, if you did do anything, if you know anything, if you have any sort of implications, trust me, you are going to go to jail at some point if you did something wrong. Now, let's move on to a clip that I have a lot to say on. You're going to hear the boys talking about Brandon's video, and they're going to call it a clip because I have been questioning it from the beginning, because I think it's a live picture, not actually a video. But you're going to hear them refer back to this video. I'll play it here beside me. And the reason why they're highlighting this is because this is apparently their evidence to exonerate them. Now, for those of you who've been following this daily, you know that I have questioned Harvey over this picture/video, and I've questioned former Officer Tatum. I have asked for the metadata because how do we know when this video was taken? Or let's just say, for argument's sake, that it was taken on the 4th. We don't know what time. That's why we need the metadata. Let me remind you guys that Officer Tatum told me he would get the metadata. Now, I've showed you guys this DMs before. I showed you the video. We all know it's not AI. We know this is a real conversation between me and former Officer Tatum. And here's where I'm talking about the metadata, and I'm asking him where it is. You saw the metadata? So that means you don't have the metadata, correct? Well, show it to me. He's like, will you make an apology to the boys? I said, no, I'll just say that the picture/video is real. And it was taken when you say it was taken, when you were supposedly on the phone with CETO. Give us the metadata to match up the CETO call with the picture/video. And you'll see right here, Brendan says, all right, hold tight. I'm going to text Warren. I'm going to text one of the boys to get the metadata. He said, I'll reach out to them tomorrow since it's late, because we're having this conversation at 1 o'clock in the morning. It's been like 7 days. He has not answered me. And my whole take on this is Brendan knows that I've been putting pressure on him. He knows I've made videos about the metadata. He knows that he also has been in my comment section. He's addressed it. Now, if he knows that I want the metadata, he knows it's public. He knows that I called out Harvey for not having the metadata, and Harvey going on TMZ and saying, yeah, I seen the metadata.
He wasn't on that boat.
Yeah, but Harvey, how do you know? Has former Officer Tatum, has he provided you guys with the metadata? Can you confirm to me right now that it was taken on July the 4th?
That's what we have concluded based on everything we've looked at. Metadata, metadata, metadata.
How is it that you are sitting down in this interview right now talking about the picture/video, and you're not saying to Warren, hey, by the way, Trent Out Loud is calling us out. Can you give us the metadata? That is what we want to see in these groundbreaking videos.
But you put out, Brandon,
a clip of the boat when Wyatt was on the phone with Cito, and it is boldly clear that Nolan was not on the boat with us. You can literally almost see down to the deck. And as you can see in that picture, everybody is completely casual while Wyatt's on the phone with Cito.
But no, all you're doing is continuously talking and not proving anything. You're putting out pictures and videos that don't have any metadata. We need to see the metadata. If it aligns, and if you were talking the truth, former Officer Tatum, boys, and little Eddie, you would have said it during that interview. And that is when I heard him talk about this video, I was like, here we go. Brandon may have not sent it to me, but he knows that the whole world, he knows that everybody is looking at TMZ sideways. He knows that I am looking at him sideways. He knows that my whole audience is, and other content creators have said it too. He knows the pressure is on. He has the audacity to put out a video talking about the picture once again, but not saying, hey, by the way, Warren, Jax, Morgan, little Eddie, let's show the metadata as proof. But they can't. I'll leave it up to you guys for you to let me know what you think in the comment section. What do you think that he has now doubled down again, made another video talking about the picture video, but won't show us the metadata, and he won't send it to me. And Harvey doesn't have it either. What more proof do you want? And then you guys have the nerve to say, how come nobody believes us? How come everyone's dragging us online? Because all you guys do is give lip service. All you guys do is you keep talking, and you're not showing us any proof. That is why we stay on you guys, and that is why I'm going to continue to make videos like this and call y'all out, because I'm not afraid. And talking about being afraid, let's move on to the next clip. Let's talk about little Eddie talking tough again. For those of you who didn't catch my video yesterday, I'm going to pin it in the comments. I'm going to put it in the comment section, and I'm going to pin it. Please watch it. I showed you guys a clip from part 1 of the second interview when little Eddie had the nerve to put out a line from a movie called The Bronx Tale, where the boss had these guys up in a bar and was telling them to get out, and then they wouldn't get out, and he closed the door and locks it, and all of his homies come behind him, and he's like, I gave you an opportunity to leave. Now you can't leave. Bronx Tale. I'm sure you guys know about it. Classic. He doubled downs now. And by the way, that's horrible for you to be talking about Nolan Xavier Wells, and you're quoting lines from movies to try to like scare people. Well, little Eddie has doubled down now, and in part 2, he's still threatening and trying to like stop people from me getting on my platform and talking. Here's the scare tactic.
I tell you, there are going to be lawsuits because we have already identified some of the worst offenders, and they're going to find themselves in court, and it's going to be excruciatingly painful. And we don't have to name names.
Nobody cares, little Eddie. No one's afraid of you. We weren't afraid of you when you were trying to talk about Joe McCann and talk to people in TMZ. No one's afraid of you now. You sent the content creator a letter. She laughed at you. We already covered that on here. Nobody is afraid of you. Maybe the little person that's like, on TikTok that's lying, that has like 2 views and 1 like and has like 3 followers, and no disrespect to them. They can do whatever they want. But there might be some people out there who is lying. Okay, they're wrong for doing that. But the real content creators, the real YouTubers that are out here doing the good work, the YouTubers that Christine is saying, thank you for keeping Nolan Xavier Wells' name in the headlines, that Benjamin Crump is thanking, the real content creators that know what they're doing, that know that they're not defaming any of your clients. We're not afraid of you. So you can continue to use former Officer Tatum's platform to scare people. It's not going to stop. And for somebody like me, it actually just pushes me to continue and keep on making more content. Now, we all know that I'm really doing this for Christine. I have said that a million times. And I feel like all the other content creators feel the same way, because we just want justice for Nolan Xavier Wells. And that's all Christine and Elmore has asked since the beginning. what happened to their son. So you wasting your time on your platform ain't doing nothing. You should be spending time and energy trying to bring justice for Nolan and Xavier Wells. If you guys would have been doing that since the beginning, maybe this case would have been solved. But no, you spend all your time putting attention on the boys and how their life has been since this happened. And guess what? Nobody cares about that either, because guess what? They still have their life. Nolan doesn't. Does that compute to you guys or no? Okay. Let's just close out with one more clip. I think this is Morgan, and you're going to hear Morgan say a line that I kind of just doesn't make sense to me. You're going to hear him say, Tatum says, "What do you want to say to the naysayers?" Then Morgan says, "The proof is in the evidence that it's all lies. It's proof in evidence that it's all lies." What?
You guys could say one thing to naysayers out there, in your opinion, that are naysayers, and I could start here and we'll go all the way down to and we'll end with you, Ed.
First, I would say that it's proven in evidence that they're all lies.
Excuse me, sir. What evidence are you referring to? Because I don't know what you're talking about. Show us the metadata. That would be good evidence. But also, how do we know that that Nolan wasn't in Bart's boat? That one picture that you guys are showing us, it doesn't mean you're exonerated. We need more real evidence. We want to know what happened to Nolan's phone. We want to know what happened to the pictures. We want to know what happened to Snapchat. We want to know a lot more than you guys are telling us on former Officer Tatum's platform, because all you guys are doing, the only evidence that you guys are providing is how you are and how your life has been since this has happened to Nolan. And it is pathetic. Now, that was everything in part 2 of their second interview. But guess what? There's a part 3 coming out tonight. It's probably going to get even worse. But until then, sound off below. I've spoken enough. I have told you everything about Little Eddie, and I've let you know everything that happened in yesterday's groundbreaking interview. Let me know what you think about Little Eddie.
Soldiers, I'm the professor, and this is the moment of truth.
An African booty scratcher. They said that I cannot speak on the foundational Black American movement because I'm married to a booty scratcher. Which they're entitled to their opinion. That's fine. That's totally fine. But here's what I think about the F.B.A. movement and any other movement that has to do with Young Pharaoh, Brother Polite, Dr. Umar Johnson, all of these movements that y'all look up to, all these men, okay, that I guess guide you to help elevate your consciousness in these movies. Even Tariq Nasheed, ain't his wife like half white or something? Ain't Tariq Nasheed wife like half white? But here's what I would say about the F.B.A. movement. It's no different than the KKK. Meant to divide, meant to separate you, to isolate you, to have you looking at other races that look like you and hating them for no reason. That is the same foundation and principles that the Ku Klux Klan build themselves on, which is protecting their whiteness, their pureness.
Yeah, family, for those people who just love their infotainment and their online podcasters and can't get enough of it, this is what they really think of you. Now, notice how this woman started off complaining that people are listening to men. That seemed to be the real problem she's got. She said men, she just spat that word out. just venom and vitriol. Men, they listen to these men. She got hung up on that word. She resents that black people are listening to black men. Well, I guess when your bread and butter is gutter gossip, you look at black men as being the enemy. This is feminine talk. Let one of these clowns get angry and they lose their filter, because this is what this woman wanted to say for the longest time. And now she slipped up and said it. But her KKK crap is the easiest talking point to shoot down. Now, you notice that she said that foundational black Americans want to discriminate against other people based on their race. Notice that she said that?
To have you looking at other races that look like you and hating them for no reason.
Now, since when has anyone in the F.B.A. movement said anything about we're not the same race as, say, the Africans or the people from the Caribbean? Everybody said ethnic group. That's the way that it works. Races are not the same as ethnic groups. But then again, this is a woman who's not exactly known for her literacy, now is she? And she's certainly not known for her common sense either. Comparing the fact that we are merely clarifying our lineage with the out-and-out terrorism of the Ku Klux Klan, who does this woman think she is? Foundational black Americans have never and would never burn down a church attended by black immigrants. You look at the mosques in and around Detroit that get attacked, an 85% black city, and yet not one of those incidents was done by any foundational black American. F.B.A.s have never and would never burn crosses in front of black immigrants' homes. F.B.A.s have never and would never demand legislation to bar black immigrants from universities simply for being immigrants. Foundational black Americans have never and would never pull black immigrants over on the side of the road and then execute them the way that those KKK deputies did in Mississippi to the 3 civil rights workers, Cheney, Goodman, and Schwerner. The Ku Klux Klan applauded and supported colonialism as being the white man's burden. They also applauded colonialism in the Caribbean, which is where Tasha K's folks are from. Foundational black Americans have always fought against colonialism worldwide, and we supported African freedom movements. Unfortunately, that support was almost never returned. But there's also been plenty of instances of African and Caribbean leaders, immigrants, and pundits who have attacked us and run us into the ground. For her to have the gall to compare an act of self-determination, such as merely clarifying our lineage, to the terrorism of the KKK after the myriad crimes and murders that those animals committed against us, that alone places this scumbag beyond redemption. Foundational black Americans were the ones who took on the Ku Klux Klan and fought to remove their Confederate flag, the American swastika, from the town square. Tasha K wasn't out there doing that, and neither was her Malian husband. Comparing the victims of the KKK to the KKK is not just stupid, it is mendacious. How dare she? She whines and complains about people listening to certain black men. She was so busy spewing her anti-black male hatred, she totally forgot that Dr. Umar is a Pan-Africanist. And with the sole exception of Tariq, none of those individuals she named actually has anything in common with the foundational black American movement. How many of those guys that she was naming other than Tariq actually says anything about foundational black American or tries to promote it or says, oh yeah, I'm one of them? How many of them? She just name-dropped a bunch of black men who, by and large, if you look at what they say and what they claim to stand for, these guys have nothing in common with each other than being black males. That's about it. None of them have been representing the lineage. In fact, Dr. Umar has far more in common with Tasha K than he does foundational black Americans as a movement. But of course, her little rant wasn't about ideology. It was about identity. And she wanted to dump on black men in general. She didn't care if she contradicted herself. Long as she got to tell you that you shouldn't be listening to black men, that was the point she wanted to reach. She's internalized the attitude of the dominant society toward foundational black Americans. As Tasha K sees it, we are all just one big Negro to her, or in her case, one big black man. Tasha K has certainly never been the target of foundational black Americans on any front. She's too foolish to remember the one time that someone did come for her and beat her in court in a defamation suit, and now has her paying millions of dollars in damages. It wasn't foundational black Americans who did that to her. It was one of her fellow Caribbean immigrants, Cardi B, who did it. And yet look at who this blockhead blogger calls herself talking trash about. Like I've always said, these tethers are on a kamikaze mission to destroy themselves. Now, before we go any further, I got to give the obligatory disclaimer that I only incidentally have ever come into contact with Tasha K's content before now. This viral clip of her defaming foundational Black Americans is pretty much the longest that I've spent actually listening to her, and I'm sorry that I did. She's pretty much exactly what I expected. She does gossip and EBT talk, or as I like to call it, flash and trash. So if you don't mind rotting what few brain cells you got left, then I guess you would like listening to stuff like her. But to be honest, since I didn't follow her and didn't care, I wouldn't necessarily have plastered Tasha K with the label tether until now. See, for the immigrants who listen to the Black media or aren't aware or not paying attention, it's not being an immigrant or otherwise of an immigrant background that gets you labeled a tether. We've had a number of rock-ribbed soldiers who have come here from abroad, and they've proven themselves to be both effective and dedicated to the cause of Black empowerment. What gets you labeled a tether is when you come here, eat off of what we made possible, fill your belly at our expense, and after what we did, you then turn around and show us disrespect. That is what gets you labeled a tether. Not coming from a different lineage, but coming from a different mentality, one that is diametrically opposed to Black empowerment. Because that's exactly the problem these places in Africa and the Caribbean have had, and we don't want that stuff to be imported here. And yes, Tasha K said that she herself comes from an immigrant background, that her grandfather or father is Bahamian. And while we certainly didn't need for her to confirm the foreign background, we could have guessed that on our own, it's still good that she went ahead and verified it. We also need to ask if that's her only immigrant lineage, because the way she talks, she could not wait to attack foundational Black Americans and bringing out the whole booty scratcher trope. Really? What the heck is this, the 1980s? And then you combine it with the whole feminine angle where she's whining about the subject of Black men. Well, for those of you who thought that her little sideshow was so fun to watch, are you not entertained? This is why I don't listen to these moronic bloggers, these fools who do celebrity gossip and who's beefing with whom in the world of hip hop. I would rather have no one listen to me and just be talking to myself than waste any time listening to that crap. Family, life is too short, our condition too important to be wasting either one on fools like this and the rest of these gossipy good-for-nothings. And yeah, she went ahead and did a pathetic non-apology apology. I guess that was kind of an impromptu IQ test to see who's dumb enough to fall for it. To anybody that felt offended. See, that's what you say when you're not sorry. It's a backhanded compliment. In other words, I'm sorry if you were offended. Now, you got people telling her you were dead wrong for what you said. That's unacceptable and intolerable. And she goes, well, I'm sorry if you were offended. That means she's acting like nothing is genuinely wrong, like she's only saying that she's apologizing in the abstract as a hypothetical, if I said something that was offensive. If. So apparently she's not clear on whether she's done anything wrong or even if there's a problem that she needs to apologize for. And that's directly out of the same playbook as the white right and these phony white liberals. This is what they always do whenever they get caught saying some racist anti-Black stuff. Oh, well, I'm sorry if you people were offended. Now, from what I understand, she took the video down. I guess she figured out too late that the same foundational Black Americans that she was only too happy to trash are the very ones that she's depending on to support her financially. But you know what? Since she thinks that foundational Black Americans are just like the Ku Klux Klan, then I'm sure she won't even notice if F.B.A. support her as much as the Klan has. Say, remember when the KKK gave money to Tasha K that time? Me neither. Foundational Black Americans are her entire lifeline. But for those of you who have listened to her, and I'm not naive enough to think that some of you haven't, she's returned your support and respect with scorn, though it looks like a number of you have already jumped ship. See, this is the entire problem. For a century now, for literally generations, we've allowed a lot of people who look like us, but harbor contempt for us, to be among us, to benefit from us, and to get very comfortable with being disrespectful towards us. But the thing that I think needs to be taken away from all of this is that it shouldn't come as a shock or surprise to anyone that this has happened. We have a lot of people who have been smiling in our face for decades, faking being civil towards us, who use the same verbiage that we do, and that they try to mimic what we say, but they've been sitting on cauldrons of anger and hatred towards us. And it's not because someone said African booty scratcher back in the 1980s. No, if that was the case, she would have brought it up a heck of a lot more often, don't you think? And yet, this is probably the first time she's ever mentioned it during any of her videos. But then again, what does an alleged African booty scratcher remark have to do with the Ku Klux Klan? That's a hell of a jump to get from one to the other, don't you think? But for her, she made that leap instantaneously. So that lets you know that one has nothing to do with the other. Perhaps Tasha K is concerned about her own immigrant background and how that might be seen by the F.B.A. audience that she depends on. Perhaps that's what's going on in the back of her mind. Maybe that's what really motivates it. It's less about her husband and more about herself. Because I'm not so silly as to believe that this just came out of the blue. She's been sitting on this for a while. This is something that she's basically had sitting on her teeth probably for years, if not decades. So to me, it seems that both she and her husband have some sort of phony grievance with the foundational Black American community. But F.B.A. is a recent term, so this antipathy she's been harboring goes back well before that. It's not delineation that got her angry. She's had a bone to pick with the F.B.A. community long before F.B.A. became the term. She and her husband have been nursing some sort of grudge for a long time against the very people who have supported her career and made her a somebody. So yeah, family, you're going to have to stop your love affair with these gossipers, and you're going to have to start checking people's paperwork. I've never actually listened to this woman, and my life is better for it, but I know tethers, and I'm not naive enough to think that this is the first time she's said some mess like this. It's probably just the first time that it's registered and broken through. I'm sure that a lot of you can probably think of little things that she said in the past similar to this, and you probably kept right on listening to her anyway. Now that is off code as hell. And Negroes who are addicted to entertainment, they're not going to take us anywhere. It matters who you listen to, family, and it matters what they believe. When you ignore little acts or small words of disrespect, then you pave the way to large acts of disrespect. It matters who you devote your time to, who you devote your mental and spiritual energy to. Because when you devote your time, energy, and resources to someone, then you empower and strengthen them. And for those of you who actually enjoy EBT content like that, you know, it's kind of a guilty pleasure for you, the mind rot. You're the reason that she has the ability to live the lifestyle that she does. Do you see gratitude or do you see scorn? Because you're the reason she felt like she could say that vile crap in the first place. Because she's been able to spend many years now enjoying the attention and the financial support coming from the very foundational Black community that she has no regard for. Those of you who consider yourself her fans, even if you don't want to use that word, you did this. This was the result. A lot of people have learned how to monetize being messy. It can be very profitable. But the real question is why any Black person would seek out lowbrow, low IQ entertainment in the first place. What is it that's broken or dysfunctional within yourself that this kind of crap would even appeal to you? How did you acquire an appetite for it? Why did you decide to make excuses for it? And for some of you, I hope you'll explain to the rest of us why, even after this, you're going to go right back to listening to her as if nothing had happened. Black people oversample when it comes to entertainment, and sadly, most Black people seek out comedy and celebrity news. In other words, infotainment. And this is where the bottom feeders lurk and how they use the people they despise to enrich themselves. As I've long told you, in practically every situation of oppression, there's almost always a strong element of complicity. Gossip and celebrity nonsense may be captivating to you, but something to remember about the white media and these wannabe auxiliaries to it is that they have nothing but contempt for you. When people are not promoting your empowerment, when their conversation is about whatever's trending instead of what's important, that should tell you something. Because if along with learning not to listen to people who disrespect you, you also better start understanding that this woman is far from the only one. Good day and be one.
But here's what I think about the F.B.A. movement and any other movement that has to do with Young Pharaoh, Brother Polite, Dr. Umar Johnson, all of these movements that y'all look up to, all these men, okay, that I guess guide you to help elevate your consciousness. in these movies. Even Tariq Nasheed, ain't his wife like half white or something?
Yeah, at the very beginning of this, man, she lost me off the break because I'm like, yo, what Dr. Umar got to do with F.B.A.? Dude, Pan-African. Brother Polite, I'm kind of familiar with him, but I stopped following him a while ago. Didn't he get a charge with some bullshit, something? You know, and then you got this guy, Farrell. I don't follow him. So I already knew she didn't know what she was talking about, and she was kind of in her feelings, projecting whatever she feeling from whatever, you know, and I said, damn, man, she in the comment section. She is reacting from getting dragged in the comment section. And I'm like, uh-oh. Now I know what's going on. I've done this before. It does not go well.
Ain't Tariq Nasheed wife like half white? But here's what I would say about the F.B.A. movement. It's no different than the KKK.
Damn. That's a hell of a leap. That's one of the Mission Impossible. Damn, that's a leap, sister. How you get from foundational Black American lineage, just what we are, how you get from Black Americans to KKK? Did you do this for Roland, Tasha? Did you do this for Roland? I'm being serious, man. I don't put it past you. You got money problems. You got a big ass mouth. Your husband African. All the stars are aligning. Did Roland say, I'm gonna sue your ass? Get out of bed. Get my lawyer. I'm gonna sue her ass. Tell Tasha I'm gonna sue her ass. Oh, this simple side, but I'm gonna sue her. Or go get them F.B.A. mother. Is that what happened, Tasha? I don't put it past you. I'm not saying, I'm asking a question. Can we ask questions? Ain't that what the white guys say? Can we just ask questions? Nick Fuente's face. Can we just ask questions? I'm just saying, it just seemed crazy to me. First, you say we lined up with Dr. Umar and Polite and Pharaoh. Then you say this shit. Now we the Klan? What school did you graduate from? What schools did you go to? I want to know right now. Because you do know the Klan lynch people, right? That's how that makes you feel. So you want me to think that people in your comment section call your husband a name and you feel like you will come out here and compare Black Americans to Klan members? That's what made you do that? Or was it just the marching orders of Roland Martin or his defense team, who you been, and like I thought it was kind of weird that you was talking to Roland's defense people. I'm like, why isn't your lawyer talking to his lawyers? Why are you talking to his lawyers? Did the talk stop? Because I noticed you stopped talking.
But here's what I would say about the F.B.A. movement. It's no different than the KKK. Meant to divide, meant to separate you, to isolate you, to have you looking at other races that look like you and hating them for no reason. That is the same.
Racist. First of all, once again, I gotta say, guys, she dumb as a box of rocks. If she's being real, she mentally challenged. Some things that I don't think are cool, that I'm assuming she's referring to, like name calling, beating people up verbally, which happens all the time. It will happen for other reasons too. I mean, it just happens. It's online, trolling each other, roasting each other. And because of TikTok, it's gotten a lot worse. It's the difference between lynching people in the real world, sundown towns, bombing churches. I mean, do you realize how how much of an insult it is for you to make this claim?
Foundation and principles that the Ku Klux Klan build themselves on, which is protecting their whiteness, their pureness, not knowing that they are not pure. It's a lie. And I don't get involved in these types of conversations because it's ridiculous. And it's very unintelligent to talk about, to even speak on, that I would deny my own children, my own grandfather, my own mother, just to protect what? A movement? Y'all don't put food on my plate? Y'all don't pay none of my bills?
As I was looking at her channel, when I was looking at her, like she does a lot of graphics in her content, and I was looking at all the people that she was talking about, like in her upcoming streams, it was all a bunch of Black Americans. No, Tasha K. We are exactly the people that pay your bills. We are. Because we watch you. I don't know white people be watching you. What are you talking about? Cody and Melissa aren't watching you. Okay? It's Dion and Keisha. That's who's watching you. You know who sued you? A white girl with a bottle of coconut water. That wasn't a Black American. But you know, hey, you know. But yeah, we do pay you. You need to watch your mouth. Real talk. Boy, these people crazy. And look at her face. She is beside herself. She need help, y'all. Either that or she gotta go boo-boo. If people told her to get rid of her husband or anything along those lines, that's crazy talk. That person's a deranged person. You have a life and a family. Why would you? That's just disrespectful and stupid for them to say. But I don't know why you would want. I don't know. Maybe I would be pissed off too. I don't know. But since I got a sister, I'll never know.
Y'all sitting in living rooms with bonnets on, causing division because you angry, trying to be accepted no different than a gang on gang crime when you got them little boys in Chicago or any other city taking each other out over what? Just because you look different?
Yeah. This is self-hate right here, fam. She is saying all the talking points that white supremacists say. Damn. Man, they got you really hit, got your head tight, man. They got you saying all the Brandon Tatum stuff. Yeah, man. Look at it, so lit. The eyes about to pop out of her head. It's so lit. What about Chicago? Black on next is gonna say black on black crime, but they should just did. Black on black crime. What about black on black crime? Then what's next? Abortion rates. Keep going, Tasha. This is going well for you. I'm impressed. When you F up, you F up.
You said something, now we got adults actually doing this, which leads me to young Pharaoh, because a lot of people are shocked at his downfall.
Hello, hi, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh.
Okay, so now she said a whole bunch of stuff. I fast forward, I got to this part. This sister is off the hook. She is on point. She ate. All right. She gonna be cooking, then she gonna eat. Let's eat.
Oh, you caught me when I was in traffic, but I'm gonna make this very quick. I am very disappointed in you I've been watching you for years. In fact, and I'm going to go ahead and say this, you're the reason why I actually expanded my brand and have a business. It wouldn't be the type of business.
I'm glad that I could plant a seed like that.
Yes,
So,
but and I always
what are you
and I always-
disappointed in me about?
yeah,
What opinion?
I can't defend you now. I always defend you when it comes to them trans women because they ain't gonna come for you.
What is your
okay?
Because
Yeah,
right now you're not even
the
asking.
F.B.A.
You're just
movement. I was,
FBA. Did I say first of all?
Mhm.
First of all, it was the FBA movement that asked me a question.
Well, it couldn't have been if FBA
yes.
is 50 million people, honey. You
I got it. Somebody with the username FBA movement. Yo, we good? My volume up. Somebody with I'm guessing now. I'm getting the impression that somebody with the hashtag, with the avatar, with the screen name, FBA movement, said some shit to her in the comment section. And she think that person is something. She don't even know how the internet works. Damn. Fam. Tasha K, you should be this is embarrassing. Somebody called themselves something. They can call themselves anything you want to call yourself. If they called themselves the LeBron movement, would you think it was LeBron's team? Like he hired the guy? Like, what are you talking? So now I get it. Bro, come on, this sister gonna cook. Let her cook to him.
There's no way.
Okay. Listen, the FBA is 50 million people, right?
Mhm.
And Trump still got in office.
Yeah.
Now Black America's supposed to stop Trump. Are you a Democrat? 1 minute she sounded like she Republican. The next minute she sounded like she a Democrat. Now she said, why did Black Americans stop Trump from getting elected? She do realize you're only 15% of the population, right? And frankly, I think America's better off with Trump than they would have been with Kamala. Let me say that again, man. F it. I believe that America's better off with Trump than they would have been with Kamala. Because I want a secure border. And if you think Kamala would have took us to war, you're crazy. So let's keep going.
So the laws, listen, we can argue about this all day. And that's why I don't believe in organizations and movements and stuff like that, because I found a lot of people that just, they put their I don't know, their trust into an organization instead of looking at, what's best for you. You came on here and you said, Tasha, you've helped me do this and helped me do that and helped me do this. But the moment I express to you how I'm viewing.
You helped her do one thing. She said you inspired her to take her brand and make it official. That's all she said you did. She didn't say you walked on water. She didn't say she could disagree with you. She didn't say every crazy thing you say out your mouth, she gonna co-sign. She just said, hey man, I got respect for you. And I appreciate you. And I'm a fan of you and your husband. She gonna say more. But for that, she gonna say she can't disagree with you? Tasha, for somebody who be roasting people on a daily basis and have done so, I think, for about a decade, your skin is thin. How you get such thin skin? It's like paper. How you get so thin-skinned?
And organization, because I feel that a lot of us are being left behind because we're putting too much into an organization instead of ourselves. That's a problem. I indirectly helped you to get to where you are. But as soon as I expressed to you about how an organization treated me and how I see it, I have African children. I have an African husband. Now you're disappointed with me, even though you knew that I was married to an African, but yet you want me to talk down on that part.
When did I say that I want you to talk down?
I'm saying you're coming in here saying that you're upset.
I should say I'm disappointed. No. I should say I'm disappointed in the opinion. I think you don't understand it. I didn't come on here telling you to talk down to your husband. I would never do that at all anyway, because
who said I didn't understand it?
No, I said, I don't think you understand it because you're saying, well, you want me to talk down. And that's not true. I don't want you to talk down about that. I actually follow you as well as your husband on social media and have been for years. I do have Africans that are married into my family.
I
So,
do
yeah.
have Africans. That's like saying I have white people that are friends. Listen to me. Listen. What I'm saying
Come
is,
on,
look,
man.
you have every right to be upset with me about my opinion.
I'm not upset with you.
Man, she's salty as hell. That's like saying I have white friends. She said she has Africans in her family. Just like you, Knuckle.
I think you just don't understand it, and maybe you take
I think I do understand it. I think I read and I have taken my opinion based off of the information that I see and the divisiveness that I'm seeing that is causing, because the mere fact I got F.B.A. members calling my family booty scratchers.
They also, and some of them, and I'm gonna just say this loosely, my family's listening to because we all listen into you. But they also, my thing is, it's not a movement, it's a lineage. I will say that, and you don't have to agree with that. I definitely wanted to come on and say that. And as far as your husband or first of all, as far as your children, anything like that, I don't think you understand it. And I say that because no, I don't see myself ever being disrespectful to you or to your husband, even the people in my family. But it's 50 million people. It's a lineage. It's not a movement. It's not an organization. Umar, and I also want to note this, Umar is not F.B.A. And the same way, I will say
You're right. He's Pan-African. I forgot. Y'all don't believe in that either.
Well, first, you don't know what I believe in because everybody.
I'm just saying, if you're F.B.A.
No, we all don't have. No. You can be F.B.A. still appreciate Africans. I think the thing is, and I'm just being honest, a lot of people have put up with, because you're upset that you think that I'm attacking you or whatever. And no, but I will say this, it's not divisive. You just haven't met all of us. Now, what I won't do, I appreciate everybody, but what you're not going to do, and that's as far as African, they have pejorative terms for us as a group. We have been known as an Akata, a Jank, a Yankee, all these things. And that has been over the years, even in the 60s, 70s, and before that. A person who ran across that border today and anchored themselves here by the 14th Amendment that was meant for the babies of slaves is not the same. That is a melanated immigrant. Everybody originated from Africa. Let's understand that, everybody, including white people. But if it's divisive for some F.B.A. to label their lineage, then it's just as divisive when nobody says anything about, oh, they're Bahamian American or they're Caribbean American. It's not the same thing. There is a difference. We all were enslaved, but there is a difference from us and a boat stop. And that's only offensive because we're telling the truth. For years, a lot of these people, not all, because I don't classify all, even though you're sitting here classifying all F.B.A. as the same. No, ma'am. All of us are not. But what they're not going to do is sit up here and disrespect us. And I hear you saying that some F.B.A. can be disrespectful to Africans. I will admit that. But I haven't heard you once say, because you labeling all of us, that some of them call us a Jareer.
Hey, I gotta give it to. I'm gonna give it to Tasha. She let the sister go. She let the sister go. This sister is cleaning her grill. She's knocking her ass out right there. All right, I just want to say that. Okay, let's go back to roast of it. But I just want to give her props on that because she getting her ass whipped.
And a cotton picker, all these things. Let's be clear. Your boat stop, we all have a boat stop. That's damn true. That's very true. But you left your boat stop to come to this boat stop. We had an ethnogenesis. We are different. If it's not wrong for someone to label themselves as Caribbean American and they left their boat stop or their parents came here and anchored them here with that 14th Amendment, it's not divisive. Now, I get it. Those people who you talk to, they offended you and they wanted, I guess you to call him a African booty scratcher. Have I heard that term? Absolutely. I ain't never been one to lie. But what I won't do is sit here and deny the fact that many of these people have sat their behind up here. Not all, because I can't do all, because I know some cool ass Africans. And I've had this tough conversation with family. I've had this tough conversation even with friends, but that's what makes us different. But at the end of the day, I haven't heard you say nothing about how some of them call us an Akata. That's a Nigerian word. It has many different meanings, but that some of them, not all, use it as a pejorative term against Black Americans. Now, F.B.A. has nothing to do with a movement. It is a lineage. It is people who pretty much have been here either before the 1865 Freedmen Rolls, or your family can be identified on the Freedmen Rolls.
Right.
That's all it is. Now, do some people use it in a bad way? Absolutely. 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 But no, it's not divisive. If it's divisive for us, then it's damn sure divisive for Caribbeans to come here and have their flag. Why do we have—
Hold on, man. We just been graced with the presence of the sister that's putting it down right now. Her name is her name is More Threads, and I'm sure that's the name that she was called on Natasha K episode we're talking about. More Threads, I just want to tell you that you did an amazing job. I thank you for being in the chat. Thank you for supporting this show, but also thank you for making these valid points so graciously, without vitriol and animosity, but with passion intact. So give it up for that. Because this last point here, folks, my God, this is it. This is everything.
Or the 1865 Freedmen Rolls, or your family can be identified on the Freedmen Rolls. That's all it is. Now, do some people use it in a bad way? Absolutely. 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 But no, it's not divisive. If it's divisive for us, then it's damn sure divisive for Caribbeans to come here and have their flag. Why do we have to be a monolith if everybody else gets to identify with everything else? And I think that's the part that you're not understanding. They come here, some of them come here with an attitude. Clearly, your husband don't have that type of attitude because he married you, who happened to be a Black American or a Florida Maroon. Now, I'm not here to tell you what to identify as, but by historic terms, and I'm a historian, you would be classified as a Maroon, and you should be proud of that. That's not divisive. That just shows that you beat the white people's ass that came down there coming for your people. That's where you originated from. Part of it. I don't know the whole thing. But some of them do not like us. And I think it's wrong for you to sit here and label all of us the same just because some idiots or some jackasses came to you and wanted you to call somebody African booty scratcher. When I sat here, and I've been very respectful, and I've said some of them, I would never label all of them as the same. They are our distant cousins. It's true. They are. They are very much. But some of them don't like us.
I'm giving you, you've made a very, very strong point. And so you and I can agree on something. So there's a movement going on, whether it's an organization, and you guys have a lot of teachers. And from what I've seen with this foundational Black American movement, it's been very discriminatory towards me from the beginning. And you can't say, hold on, because I let you speak.
I'm agreeing with you.
And you made a strong point. I don't hear women like you speaking about it because it is labeled as another organization, not a lineage. It hasn't been taught to me like that. I don't even look at it because I've already labeled it. It is something to divide us.
That's why I wanted that, and that's why
I'm just saying.
That's why I wanted to call in. Yeah.
Because it's not something that's taught in schools or universities.
But they teach our history. Ain't a thing in this country. No. Ain't a thing in this country that has not been impacted by Black Americans. And I'm sorry, Tasha, I love you to death. But a melanated person who came across that border on a 14th Amendment or who choose to come here, they're not the same as us. And let me be clear, not everybody who is an F.B.A. actually was enslaved. So anything about them.
We talk about Jews.
You do that. Yes, you do that. But as far as them calling us an Akata, no. I think I'm gonna just be honest.
I've never even heard that word, ma'am, until now.
Look it up.
I will look it up. I've never heard that word.
Okay, I got to call Cap right here. I know a couple of y'all don't want me to stop the tape, but I got to call Cap right here. I got to say, fam, that's got to be bogus. Family, we've been hearing about this. for a minute. When did Sugar Hill come out? Was it 95? You ain't heard that term before. The Akata term, it's Yoruba. Isn't that the Yoruba? Isn't that the people, the Nigerians, right? That's Godfrey. That's Godfrey in the host on the 154. Africa, right? It's rooted in Yoruba. The term historically relates to a wild animal or stray cat. It's saying we don't have a home. We come from nothing, right? Some West African immigrants use it as a general or casual descriptor for Black Americans. Google is your friend, all right? Here's the thing, though, fam. I'm wondering, why do African folks get so mad when people call them booty scratchers? I just don't get it. What does that mean? It doesn't mean, what is it? You scratch your booty? Some do. But I'm just saying, like, how is that worse than being called a kata? I don't get it. Also, I just want to point out, I remember Spike Lee, how many people saw Do the Right Thing? Do the Right Thing had a scene with Danny Aiello. Danny Aiello's talking to one of the black guys. I forget which one it was. And he goes on this diatribe. It's like 90 seconds long of all negative terms for Black Americans. He was talking to a young black man. He called him everything. Titsu, spade, spear chucking, da-da-da-da-da. White people been calling you that shit. White people don't call you a kata. You call us a kata. The booty scratcher and all that other stuff, that's something. I even heard it in, not Minister Society. What's the other one? It was a good day. Ice Cube, today was a good day. Either they don't know, don't show, can't do nothing for the hood. Y'all know what I'm talking about, Ice Cube joint. But anyway, the point is, not Miss, you know the other one. Radio Raheem, there you go, that's it. So what I'm saying is these terms that Black Americans have used in the past, I'm not saying they're good terms, but I'm saying those are terms that were already in existence. We didn't invent anything for you. Those things were already out there. And they were used by white people. And when they were smearing us, they used terms that they would call you. Now, I don't know. But back to the Akata thing, we're going to let it play, but back to the Akata thing, I got to call cap on that. I mean,
Revolutionary salute to our family, Geneva Smith, for the 100 jewels to the war chest. Revolution is way of life. Absolutely appreciate the love, family. Salute.
I think she was being bogus right there. Because there's no defense for it. There's no defense to offset what the sister More Threads was saying, which is, hey, your people been foul. Your husband's people been foul. They done said some things. I don't know about you, but no, black children are not raised to say Africans are bad. In fact, it's been the opposite. We're going to get more to it. Let's finish. I'll talk more, but let's keep going. I don't want y'all to feel like I'm monopolizing.
It is a word, and I didn't learn about it until I didn't learn about it.
Here's the thing, and see, you're judging Africans based off of that, like an Akata. It's like black on black crime. I'm gonna be honest with you. If you're not white in America or anywhere, you're a problem. So I feel like all of us need to band together.
That's my thing. I agree
with organizations like this. I'm sorry, like, and I get it. Like, I can respectfully agree and disagree. You made some very, very strong points, but the way it's being taught, especially amplified, even I've been a victim of it. I'm like, no, this is not something that I'm proud to join. Just like I can't send my kids to church without me worried about if a pastor gonna take advantage of them. I don't believe in church, but I believe in God. I don't believe in the FBA organization, but I believe in Black people and foundational Black Americans. I do, but I'm just not going to get behind what y'all are, and not you, because the way you explain it is different. But a lot of what they're teaching.
Well, I didn't ask you to get behind it because I figured, I'm going to tell you now, I can figure you ain't going to like it because your husband is African.
I had to hit it there. That was so.
What do you think a plant is?
Oh,
Maybe
man.
people don't understand the definitions of these words.
That went hard. That went hard. That was a great segment. That was a great phone call that she took. I might need to find a way to get phone calls back in this joint. Yeah, man. I used to do phone calls for like the first 7 years of the show. I wonder if when Tasha saw the Super Bowl, I wonder if she thought that was divisive. Yeah, because we had all these countries with all these flags in our country. I don't know if she thought that it was divisive. It seemed like those people just had pride for their country. You know, and the point that More Threads made, that Caribbeans, Puerto Ricans, Dominicans, Bahamians, they all have pride. They're quick to tell you, no black. No black. No black, no black. I love telling the story. When I went to do, I was on a comedy tour. We did a spot in Salt Lake City, Utah. I step off the plane. I was told there were no black people in Salt Lake City. I come out to catch an Uber. I get in the Uber car, and my driver, I could tell I thought he was black. I said, my brother. So they told me there wasn't going to be no black people in Salt Lake City, Utah. He's turned to me and he said, I'm not black. I'm here on studies. He quickly shut my ass down. See, what they used to, fam, is they used to us trying to get in with them. Clamoring to have a history. Clamoring to have roots. We just got to idolize them. And I think they're just very disappointed that they're losing their faithful puppy dog. Yeah, they're losing their easy, and not to mention that, their golden goose. Don't forget that part. Everybody wants to eat off us. The entire globe eats off Black America. They say things like we don't have a culture. Meanwhile, while they co-opt our culture, Latino Americans, Latinos all over the globe, Spaniards, whatever you call them, Asians, what do you think K-pop is? What's that? Look like TLC. Look like TLC and Drew Hill. and the Africans, oh, come on, Johnson. They are all imitating us. You'll see someone with no shoes on, walking in the mud, wearing a polo. And a shiesty. Where'd I get that from? Even the blacks in the UK. And I've done the math, I've done the studies. Black Americans, through all of the shit you throw at us about Chicago, about we're lazy, the average Black American is the most wealthy Black person, melanated group of people are Black Americans on the whole globe. The average. See, the ones that get cherry-picked to come to America, those are the rich ones. Those are the ones with money. Their poor cousins don't get to come to America. That's another thing people love to leave out. And the Nigerians and the Ghanaians and Congolese that are all doing so well with all these degrees, guess what? A lot of them already had them before they got here. Because it's not working class. The working class don't get to the United States. Remember when Trump said, what was it Biden? Biden said we cherry pick the best. We cherry pick the best. We get the best. We cherry pick the best. It's the greatest. Yeah, well, they do cherry pick. They do that. If you are a regular working class, middle class, lower middle class American, you would never be able to migrate to a country like the United States because they would not open the door for you. You got to have a couple of degrees or a lot of money. So them people that be coming over here, they may start with nothing, but they got degrees out their ass. They got education, and they can have a record in their country. No one knows. They come here, they get CDLs. Half of them don't have licenses. They don't have back credit checks. Family, do you know how well we would be doing if we didn't get our credit checked? Do you know the step up you get to not have to? So the point is, hit the like button, fam. Hit the subscribe button if you're new. But these are points that need to be made. My sister, Maura Threads, made a lot of them. And I just want to reiterate. No one knocks Caribbeans for loving being a Caribbean. No one has anything to say about Dominicans and Puerto Ricans, Ghanaians, Nigerians. No one degrades them or calls them self-centered, greedy, or divisive because they embrace their heritage. What it is fam, I'm trying to tell you, what's happening is very powerful. We took our agency back. We're taking our agency back. We're not letting others define us, and we're not searching to be defined by people we don't know in a country we've never been. We are planting our flag in the only place we have any claim to. The only place the only home we know. United States of America. And damn it, that's something to be said. So y'all can say what y'all want to say about, I don't know, Tariq or whoever, anybody with the F.B.A. Yeah, and it's always going to be things said that are rude. There's going to be people that say things. And look, you know what? I'm going to give some grace. Because black people have been kicked in the teeth for so long. We've been degraded and demised and debased for so long. Lord, God forbid if a couple of young people feel good about themselves and talk that shit a little bit. You got your own country. Why are you so insecure? It's almost as if cosplaying our identity is valuable to you. You wouldn't know that by the lack of frequency in which you spend money with us. You would not know that from, it seems like everybody, anyone with any melanated person who comes to America, it just seems like they just blend in with us, get money, and at the first opportunity reminds the whole world that they're not us when it's beneficial for them. Idris Elba, you wouldn't even know who Idris Elba was if he didn't play Stringer Bell. He only played Stringer Bell because he pretended to be us just long enough to get the job. And now, what is he? Sir. Now he's boldly European, boldly British now. And I'm not knocking him. I understand the system. But you know what? I'm not going to keep being understanding. What I understand is that our survival, that our purpose on this earth is not to save the rest of the globe. The purpose of us is not to be the doormat, the floor mat, the floor, the carpet, the stepping stool, the hound dog. Paul Mooney, what would Paul Mooney say? Come on, Tim Black, you know what I say. They want you to be the hound dog. It's a faithful little hound dog. Yeah. Look at you. Right there, Master's right at his ankles. Master, we okay, Master? We're not going to say what you want to say about these people. I'm going to say it. Say what you want to say about Tariq. I said things about Tariq in the past. He roasted my ass 10 years ago. I ain't never forgot that shit. But it was a good idea. If he came up with this idea, it was a damn good idea. You got to be able to get credit where it's due. And that would be petty and low life if you can't admit it's a good idea that this happened. Whoever did it, whether it was Tariq or Black Authority or Dennis Sperling or Dr. Musa Abdullah or Vicky Dillard or Phil Scott, whoever, I don't care who did it. A good idea is a good idea is a good idea. Because Black people need to have pride in just being Black people, in being Black American, in being foundational Black Americans. And I'm just sorry, it just, mwah. So, we're going to keep the party going. Because it ain't it, because we got to get to the Deontay Kyle character. We have some stuff to say. So the conversation's not over. Hit the like button on this broadcast.
Interesting. What's very, very interesting as far as our lineage, ladies and gentlemen, you know who was talking like us? A lot of folks don't really like to, a lot of people don't like to acknowledge who was really, really talking like us. And I want y'all to hear something, ladies and gentlemen. I want to play something for you guys. You know who was talking like the F.B.A. grassroots? Dr. King. Dr. Martin Luther King, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to play, somebody sent me this speech, and this was heavy. He did this speech in August 27th, 1967. I want y'all to hear something. I want y'all to feel what Dr. King was saying, because we're showing you delineation. It ain't new. We kind of been on that. Yeah, this was like right before he passed, by the way. This is what made him dangerous. You see, because at the time, the CIA and FBI, they were funding a lot of Pan-African movements. They were trying to get people to be on that, which was, that wasn't a real threat. But Dr. King kind of flipped it. He was talking about, this is our stuff. I want y'all to listen. This is Dr. King. I want y'all to listen to this. Hold on. Y'all listen to the good doctor. Listen to this.
Great problem facing our nation today in the area of race is that it is the black man who to a large extent produced the wealth of this nation.
Well, don't we say that? The black man produced the wealth of this nation. Yes, we did. Black man and woman. We say, when he says black man, that means the black family. That's how they would talk back in those days. It wasn't on no gender shit. All right. For those who don't know language, when we would say back in those days, yeah, the black man, that meant black men and black women. That meant the black family. Okay. Dr. King was spitting truth to power. Hold on.
The nation doesn't have sense enough to share its wealth and its power. The very people who made it so. I know what I'm talking about this morning. Black man made America wealthy.
The black man made America wealthy.
That's why I tell you right now, I'm not going anywhere. They can talk, these groups, some people talking about a separate state. Go back to Africa. I love Africa. It's our ancestral home. I don't know about you. My grandfather and my great-grandfather did too much to build build this nation for me to be talking about getting away from it.
Boy, they never played that part, do they? They don't never play that part of Dr. King. They don't show how he was talking like that. He's like, we ain't going nowhere. We done built too much. We done done too much for us to go somewhere. We done too much for us to go somewhere. Come on. Let me play that one more time. Y'all better feel Dr. King.
And Father did too much to build this nation for me to be talking about getting away from it.
Listen to this.
The Pilgrim Fathers landed at Plymouth. 1620, we were here.
Woo! He said before the Pilgrims landed in 1620, we were here. Y'all hear what Dr. King's talking about? He said before the Pilgrims landed, we were here. They don't let you hear this part of Dr. King. Oh.
And Father did too much to build this nation for me to be talking about getting away from it. The Pilgrim Fathers landed at Plymouth. 1620, we were here. Before Jefferson etched across the pages of history the majestic words of the Declaration of Independence, we were here.
We were here.
Before the beautiful words of the Star-Spangled Banner were written, we were here. More than 2 centuries, our forebears labored here without wages. They've made cotton candy. With their hands and with their backs and with their labor. They built the sturdy docks, the stout factories, the impressive mansions of the South.
Yep.
And now this nation is telling us that we can't build.
Oh, all right, that's enough of that. But yeah, Dr. King, I'm telling you, they sounded just like the grassroots. What we're saying ain't that new. This ain't new. We've been kind of talking like this. That's why when people say, hey, my grandmother and them, they weren't saying we African and all that, which is true. This ain't new. This isn't new. We're not dissing anybody, but damn. We've always stood on lineage business here. We've always said, this is us, this is ours. We've always been on that. You understand? They later Africanized us and tried that in the 80s, start bringing that, oh, we African-American, all that shit. Yeah, that was something that was forced on us. The name of this speech, by the way, is called Why Jesus Called a Man a Fool. All right. And he did this speech in 1967 in Chicago, ladies and gentlemen. You understand? Dr. King was preaching. He was talking about a distinctly historic people, not just everybody who happened to be black. Yeah, he was saying stuff like the American Negro, our forebears, our history. You understand? He's talking about a very specific people. Before the Pilgrims got here, we were here. Man, he established a historical time stamp. Before Jefferson wrote the Declaration, we were here. Before the Star-Spangled Banner, we were here. He's saying we are the foundation, ladies and gentlemen. That's Dr. King telling you we're the foundation. You can't discuss the founding and the development of the United States without discussing our lineage. Yeah? This sounds like some shit we talk about now. This was damn near 60 years ago, ladies and gentlemen. Man, it's heavy. It's very, very heavy. And the thing is, he didn't crap on Africa. He like, shout out to Africa. You know, he said that's our ancestral from thousands of years ago, however long. Yeah, we shout out to Africa. I ain't got no problem with Africa, but yeah, This is us here. This is what I say. Same thing. I ain't got no problem with Africa. I mean, yeah, we got African genetics. That's fine. No disrespect to Africa. We are foundational Black Americans. We built this. I ain't giving this up. This is ours. This is ours, ladies and gentlemen. You see? Y'all tap, come on, we only got 137 hearts. If y'all don't tap this screen, we need to get 250,000 hearts, ladies and gentlemen. We need to get 250,000 hearts, ladies and gentlemen. All right? Man. So this further shows that, listen, I want people to understand something, because whenever we talk about delineation, we get all of these non-FBAs who try to spin that. Whenever they bring up their lineage, that's called cultural pride. You bring up Jamaican lineage, that's cultural pride. Haitian lineage, that's cultural pride. Ugandan lineage, that's cultural pride. But when we say, hey, we're going to acknowledge our foundational Black American lineage, what is the divisive? Well, we're not going to get anywhere divided. Okay, what is all this divisive talk? We didn't say we don't like you. We're just saying we have a unique lineage. You're not going to shame us, this weird shaming thing. Like Tether's always calling up, Tariq, why did you go to Senegal and you hate Africa so much? Like, that's you. You said that. I never said that. Shut up, nigga. I hate you. Listen, Dr. King just proved delineation and solidarity. They were never opposites. Delineation don't mean we can't kick it. It just means you're going to respect my boundaries the same way I respect yours. That's all delineation is. And they know that, but they don't want to respect our boundaries because they've gone so long disrespecting our damn boundaries and trying to claim everything we do. Now that we've shut that door, well, you're attacking us. What is this shit? What is this? You're beating me, psychologically whipping me, beating me. Let's cut it out, Dudu Tunde. Nobody's talking about harming you. All right, calm down, fool. We ain't like you over there, y'all beating folks up with sticks and bats. No, we putting boundaries on our lineage. We're not letting nobody misrepresent us and tell us who we are. That's it. It's like Dr. King. Dr. King was talking about, hey, listen, shout out to Africa, but yeah, we built this country. My grandparents built this country. We ain't going nowhere. We stand right here. Yeah. Man. There's no attacks whatsoever. Yeah. It's deep. Man. Let me see. Y'all raise your hands, family. Let's get these hands up. Yeah, we ain't going nowhere. Oh, I did see the Haitian dude crying. Oh God, I saw that. Oh God. I don't like to punch down when somebody's down bad. Yeah, there's a video of because that's the thing. Some of the Haitian haters, not all, because there's some cool Haitians, but the Haitian haters were always jumping in these spaces, talking greasy about us, who love talking greasy about us and how proud they are, their homeland. Oh, I have a home to go to, nigga. Oh, you F.B.A.s, you're stuck here. You're stuck under the white man. I got a proud home to go to if things get rough. Boy, I saw a video today. They put an ankle monitor on a Haitian dude. He fell all on the ground. I don't want to laugh, but it just, to contrast all that shit they be talking, they put an ankle monitor on his ass. He got on some church shoes and some little dress. He falling on the ground, rolling in the grass, getting grass all in his little peppercorn hair. Suck my say. Help, suck my say, my poulet. Come on, man. Y'all, when y'all talk shit and then that's the visuals, that's kind of funny. Just the contrast. Y'all talk.
Revolutionary salute to our queen Yaya's kids for the 440 jewels to the war chest. Revolutionary way of life. Absolutely appreciate the love, queen. Salute. Honk alert.
Sometimes you just got to stop and take a breath and think about things. Think about how things are for real. After all the excitement of yesterday and Tasha K and F.B.A. provocative statements, for some reason, I wasn't rushing to put out this very hasty apology that came from Tasha K. Always listen to your intuition, family. There's a reason for everything. Let me explain. So Tasha K came out with this apology yesterday.
To anybody that felt offended by me referring to F.B.A. as the KKK, to anybody that I've offended, I didn't mean to offend you. I don't do that. I want any and everybody to be up in here having a good time. Lately, on social media, given the Nolan Wells situation, I mean, just any and everything that has to do with our culture, our people, Blacks as a whole, for some reason, I have been dragged into these conversations. So yesterday's show, had me fired up because to refer to my family, and I get it, everybody has, they say any and everything about my family, but to see, I guess, them say that I don't somehow care about my people because I married an African man. To refer to me and my platform or my, my husband as booty scratcher. Now he laughed about it, it's fine. But for me, I don't know, that hit different because I got a son. And to see our own Black people, like, that's cool. So here's the thing. And everybody's entitled, but here's the thing. I didn't have to react that way because at the end of the day, when I get up here, whether I make $1 or not, and I was unmonetized on this platform for a long time. To anybody that felt offended by me referring to F.B.A. as the KKK, I wholeheartedly apologize. All I saw was divisiveness, and I saw a group of people attacking me, attacking my family. So I attacked back.
But she doesn't fly off the handle like that normally. She usually gets her research. She got a research team. She should know what else is going on. That somehow a couple commenters set Tasha K off. Think about that for a second. A couple comments, and one that was very cliche. It's even a bad joke at this point to call somebody an African booty scratcher. And that sets you off to this point. That's what I'm saying. Something is off about this whole couple of days. Now, I know she was feeling the heat from y'all for sure, because she looked down and her whole audience was like tearing her up in the comments with F.B.A. everything. The best way to get a poll of your audience to tell where their demographics are from is to do something like this, because automatically you're going to get that feedback. But like I said, I think the play was a little more devious. The play might have been, allegedly, a little more sinister.
So I'm grateful to my winos that are on the app that are educating me, that are emailing me, that are apologizing for, I guess, the few bad actors that are out there. But when you do Google it, that's all that comes up. Divisiveness. I don't know who's representing y'all's lineage or our lineage, because, I'm from America.
What about yours?
I was born here. My mom was born here. One thing that bothers me is when I see Black on Black, like, racism. I'm completely ignorant when it comes to this movement. I just know how I felt when I was attacked, when my family was attacked, and I decided to just, here we go. I will lend my platform on Sunday. I want the people that y'all listen to, if they are true educators in this F.B.A. lineage, I want to talk to them. There are a lot of people that are just like me.
I don't know, Tasha. I don't know if you're ready to actually go to school on this. Are you genuine in wanting to know about F.B.A. and about lineage? Or are you just making a play here? Because this sounds like now we transmute some energy over to your platform. So now your platform has a hit video. You know what I'm saying? Like, this looks a little questionable. I'm not going to lie. I definitely haven't received the invite. So I know she's seen my video. My video went viral. I had people sending me clips of me and Tasha this morning. Yeah. So what are we talking about here?
That are generally confused about what this is, please email me, unwindwithtasha@gmail.com. Let me know who are your teachers when it comes to the F.B.A. lineage. If it's a great thing, I would love to open up my platform to educate more about it.
But that's not the illest part of this story. You want to know what is? I feel we've been manipulated here. I feel Latasha Transrena Kibi has duped a lot of people here. For what, you might ask? Let me show you. As of 1 hour ago, Tasha K posts, woo, Wino gang, y'all crashed my site yesterday. God is good, with a T at the end. No big announcement, no rollout. Just one simple email and y'all showed out. I'm still taking it all in and enjoying the fruits of our labor. We did it, Joe. Thank you, Wino gang. And it's an announcement for her new wine, Islia. We didn't just build a brand, we reclaimed a legacy. Tasha K released a peach mango sparkling wine yesterday. This is not an ad, but this is what really was going on and why I think we got all this energy. Somebody must have told Tasha to garner a bunch of attention. What can you say? What's the most provocative thing you can say? I don't know. Maybe I could say something about F.B.A. being equal to the KKK. Immediately, eyes are brought onto her. And I will say, as a media professional, well played. But the long-lasting impacts of this and the apology that ends up behind a paywall as members only, I'm starting to think we were all manipulated here. And they are just loving it in the comments. Oh, my God. Just of all the things, this woman says she's going to be supporting while she's pregnant. She's going to be drinking alcohol while she's pregnant. Once again, alcohol, too. Now, I'm not going to say anything because George Clooney has made $1 billion off of alcohol. Go get your money. Tasha K needs it for sure. With the Cardi B payments coming up and everything, she needs every opportunity she could get. But to use foundational Black American outrage is a new low. This is manipulation on another level. People, we cannot stand idly by on this type of manipulation, y'all. This is crazy. I don't know how. Then she asked some people to be on her show on Sundays so she can further understand. This is strange. This is really strange. So either way, I don't know. Let me know what y'all think about it in the comments. Is Tasha K running a play here right now? Or is she genuinely interested in learning about this?
Cool figure. Follow me.